2:08 in the afternoon. Welcome to the show on this Monday, June 1st. Thanks for tuning in. This is the BrightSide right here on Wave 105. We're KGUM FM, Dedido Guam, standing by. The host of the show, Mr. Pauly Suba.
And we do want to thank our sponsors here on Wave 105, right? Appreciate all of our sponsors. Chili's Grill and Bar. At Chili's, more life, great food, and memories happen here. Subway, you got to refresh to be fresh. And joining the family, that's Triple J, the bright side, all brought to you by Triple J Auto. Right now at Triple J Ford, get a free $500 gas card when you drive home with a new Ford truck. Visit triplejguam.com. Get pre-approved instantly. Also appreciate GTA hanging out with us as well on the bright side, Monday through Friday, 2 to 6. GTA, we start with you. All right, welcome to it. Another bright side right here on Wave 105 is 671-922-1051 or 1052. We are online, thewave105.com, as well as our YouTube channel. Let me just double check our YouTube. Something's funny going on.
Funny. I'm seeing this thing like
yeah.
And it's
Did you check the Wave? Did you check the YouTube to see if it's streaming?
You know what? I'm checking it now. Let me see.
I see myself, so I think we're good.
Yeah, but what is this thing?
I don't know. I think maybe you got the mouse on or something. Maybe move your mouse.
Yeah.
Like yeah.
No. It's recording. It's streaming.
Yeah, I see it too.
Don't see that. I mean, and I see a counter, and it just keeps going back to 1.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't want to touch it.
Move your mouse around and see if it does anything.
This is mouse 1, and the other mouse is on the BB. So
okay.
Yeah. So this is it. Yeah.
That's strange because
Very
that's
strange.
not. Press stop on there.
I'm almost if you want me to stop streaming or stop.
Well, what does that do?
Okay.
Hello, I'm still here.
Yeah, you're still
So there. It worked.
All right. Yeah. Welcome to another bright side.
Everything's good.
It's the Monday hiccups.
Yeah, let's see here. Can I hear myself?
I could hear you.
I could still hear me. We're still good to go.
Yeah.
All right. Nice and easy. I mean, it is Monday, right?
Mm-hmm.
The weekend was hella busy. Oh my
man.
goodness.
Don't even start.
Need the weekend for the weekend. It's more stressful. So much more that had to happen over the weekend. If I could just see, that's the part where I don't necessarily agree with cloning, but this last weekend, I'm almost ready to just go for it.
Yeah.
Because I needed to be at multiple places at one time, but it all worked out. Most of our time was over at the PTC Festival, which was amazing over at Santos Park.
Yeah.
That was a great time.
Good.
Yeah.
I mean, how was Sunday? Because
It was awesome.
I met you on Saturday, but
Yeah, and then you just ghosted. I turned around. I was like, Ryan didn't even say goodbye.
Actually,
Dang.
so my daughter was calling me, right? And so she was like, Dad, where you at? I'm like, oh, I'm at this new festival. It's the first one. And she's like, is it one of those island type things? I go, yeah. And she's like, can you see? And so I'm like going to the little, the booths and everything.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And she's like, can you get me the turtle one?
Ooh, nice.
Yeah. And, man, I forgot the name of the place, but they had a lot of good stuff.
Nice.
And, yeah, and, you know, one of the questions I learned to ask, right, because, you know, for pop-up booths like that, you just don't know where you're going to run into them.
Right.
You know? So I would ask them, aside from here today, where are you guys at? And it's like, oh, we're at the Chamorro Village on Wednesday.
Nice.
And we're at GPO on the weekends. And I'm like, okay, cool. All right, now I know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, go out there and support your local artists, man. I mean, they had a lot of good stuff. And if I just had to really tell my daughter, I'm like, look, hey, you want this and you want that, and now you're messing with with my food money. I was like, because the food was good
Yes.
too, and I was like, wow, man. So the next one I believe is Santa Rita, right, with their papaya festival.
I believe so.
Yeah, and so that's another one to look forward to. I mean, I think these, it's not they're not challenging, but it's almost like everyone's helping one another. First you had
Sure.
the Mango Festival, then you had the PDC Festival going on just this weekend, and then I
Right.
believe Santa Rita is going to be the next.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm going to go out and check out Santa Rita and see how that thing is.
I was just so very impressed with the lineup, the entertainers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Malik Motna on Saturday.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Ooh, Pacific Cool on Saturday.
Yeah.
Smiles Davis.
Oh, jeez. Eric Tydinko, the bass player,
Yeah.
good friend, and also Vince Mason.
Yes.
And I was like, guys, man, I already knew it was you guys because I was walking in and you guys were jamming Marvin
Yes.
Gaye. Yeah, I
Right.
They were good. They were really good.
Mariana's Revival. Those guys are a lot of fun.
Uh-huh.
And that's Fluffy Kedze Hoffe.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he, for those of you that do not know him, he sings that one song.
Market Deli?
Market Deli.
Yes. Because he manages Market Deli.
Yeah. And so
That's such a fun song.
It is. I'm like, it was kind of weird. At
Yeah.
first, I was like, who is this? Right? I'm like, what? And they say, hey, everybody, this is Fluff. And I'm
I
like,
mean,
okay.
that's the best part. I mean,
Yeah.
the way he, it's not even AI generated.
that-
He came up with it himself.
like right on the spot.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, he's good, man. And so that was Sunday that they showed up.
Saturday night. They
Saturday
closed it out Saturday night. They were just so
Nice,
much fun.
nice. Okay.
Everybody was so much fun. Trey Cunningham and his friends,
Mm-hmm.
they kind of nicknamed themselves 50 Shades of Trey. Yeah, but I mean,
They played
it's
a
just
lot of blues and a lot of rock.
a
and
lot
roll.
of the Mariana's homegrown,
Yeah.
and so it was very nostalgic. And I
Very,
just,
And for those of you guys who don't know Trey, that is Uncle Toad's son.
son,
So,
yeah.
and he was a part of the
Yes.
Mariana's homegrown. So no.
yeah,
good.
and it was just such a beautiful 2 days. Obviously, Saturday was so hot.
Oh, man.
But it cooled down, around 4:30-ish, 5 o'clock for sure, started to cool
yeah.
down. Took advantage of the sunset that happened around 6:44, yeah, and then another beautiful sunset the next day. And that lineup, we would pay for that lineup. It was free.
man.
The mangrove tours were free. The snorkeling tours were free. They had the weaving that was happening, cultural dances as well from a number of our neighboring islands, right, on both days. It was just, I was so impressed. The Radiance closed it out last night.
Nice.
Yeah, and Santos Park is a beautiful place.
It
There's
is.
plenty of space there. I mean, it was obvious that you could utilize Santos Park for a festival of the PTC festival's caliber, but I can also I could see myself having a birthday party there, a wedding there, with the backdrop of the ocean, the shoreline. It's just beautiful,
It is.
and it's very well kept too.
When we spoke to Mayor Alec last week, the one question I asked him was like, man, were you guys can you guys get USO back? And I think that was like the theme because if you connect Santos Park to that, even better, right? And like you and the mayor were saying, it shouldn't even be an issue because that was part of the
NDA.
yeah.
That's the agreement to return it.
Yeah.
It's weird too because maybe now we can have that conversation now that that the focus is the PTC festival focus is over.
Yeah.
Because I do want to revisit that conversation because he got my attention and I wanted to go drive by where you drove by.
Yeah.
And there were people inside.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is that about?
I don't know, but
There are people that go and use the USO beach behind the fence.
Yeah.
And they lock it up.
Yeah.
And then they leave and they lock it back up when they're done.
That sucks because one of my good friends, our good friend Patrick Paloma, I remember having a conversation with him long time ago. Now, mind you, Patrick Paloma's from PD, right? And
Yeah.
he was telling me that one day I mean, mind you, he's been swimming there since he was a kid, right? And one day, he just got told to leave, get out of the beach, and don't come back and everything. And he was like, wait a minute. I grew up here. I swim here all the time. Now you guys are telling me to get out. And this was years ago. I want to say like probably around 2013 when he told me this. But from then till now, but when they started locking it down, I mean, and USO, that even when the Navy had it back then, it was still open to the public. So I don't even know why they're even closing it. Like, I grew up there. My grandmother's from Petey. Now, that's where my mom grew up. So
Yeah.
we always used to go down to USO and swim.
And you heard him right last week where he said the municipal planning council has already agreed that they're not going to sell it or have one family own that property.
Yeah.
That they would make it a municipal
As it
park,
should be. As it should be.
like Santos Park is.
Yeah. And I think if that was the concern, then it wouldn't even, because part of the agreement is that we're not giving it back to family members. We're giving it back to the government of Guam. And
Right, that it would be for government use.
exactly. And so that shouldn't even be an issue with the people that hold the lock keys pretty much.
Right, because the worry would be to sell it so there's some, like he said, some monstrosity built there,
Yeah.
right, for private benefit.
Well, I
Well,
think,
somebody's benefiting privately right now.
well, if you want to do the history, okay, even when the Navy did have a hold on it like they still do, it was still open to the public. I remember going down there getting hot dogs with my
What
dad
about
and
down in
burgers.
Tumon when it was just for military? Was
Oh.
the public allowed to go down to Tumon?
Well, because there were still families that had land. Maybe certain parts of the
Yeah.
beach was closed, but majority of the of the land that's down there in Tumon were owned by actual Chamorro families. I mean, unless they condemned it. But it's funny how they always take the nice beaches, right? They take the prime land, the farming land and everything. I was like, man, these guys knew what they were doing even back then. But the one question that it should be asked: is it going to come back to us, and when are you going to give it? Right?
It should,
It
because it's
should
already
be-
part of the
yeah.
agreement.
And that is where
yeah.
Congressman James Moylan needs to step up and basically talk to the powers that be. I mean,
Yeah.
he's the only one that can ask.
Yeah.
Because the Navy's not going to deal with us. So
Right.
we go straight to the Department of War and talk to them, Pete Hegseth, and say, hey, it's part of the agreement. You guys signed it. We signed it. Give it back, right? So, I don't know.
Unless they're going to put one of those
In a time of war,
defense systems there, because they need to find a number of properties to put the defense system, right? Like different satellite areas. Maybe one of them's going there.
and
That'd be-
well, it could be, right? But when you look at it, GPA.
Do you want to swim anywhere near those satellites?
Well,
Especially if there are mini nuclear, what do you call it?
nuclear power
Nuclear
plants.
reactors
Yeah,
there?
Reactors.
Energizing these defense systems?
Yeah, well, if you think, right, the power plant is there, but GPA is totally, I don't know if Navy's going to take it back or
Oh,
whatever.
Cabris? You're talking about
Yeah,
Cabris?
Yeah, the PD power plants. So that is pretty much going to be done away with, right? So that could be the reasoning. Oh, we're going to generate it because GPA's power is unreliable and all of that. So we're going to take that back and, power up our bases and everything. And they might. Now you're making me think, man. Now we're never going to see it because now they're going to protect it, right?
Yeah.
Because they need the power, and that's a given for national security.
Yeah. But on the bright side, it looks like we're gonna get some like floating amusement park near the port. So there's a trade-off.
What is it? Is it the inflatables?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you know where the port beach is?
I'm thinking along
It's
the
on the
rocks.
right-hand side.
Yeah, on the driveway. Where the
So
rocks,
yeah,
where
you're
people fish?
driving. What? Where?
Where people fish?
Yes.
Wow.
So you know where the yacht club is? The yacht club's on the right-hand side.
Yeah.
And then on the left-hand side. The
Yeah.
yacht club's more like where Sasa Bay is.
Yeah.
And then on the right-hand side, that's the Port Authority beach.
Is that where Black Construction is currently doing something?
They're doing something in there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So let me see here. So I was looking it up, right? Because this is Skylar Obispo's story of the PDN. I was like, okay, that sounds like a lot of fun. I'm not knocking it. But there's somebody that wants to lease out property or the beach area, which it's the Port Authority's property, right? So they've agreed to begin lease negotiations with something called the Splash Village Ocean Park. It's a private company that wants to build a floating inflatable water park near the Port Beach.
Wow.
The Port Beach is on the right-hand side, and then Sasa Bay is on the left-hand side. And so according to Skylar's story, they originally wanted to build or wanted to utilize the Sasa Bay area. I guess they have changed their mind. And so they want to be on the Port Beach side. The proposal is for what the company says could be one of the largest inflatable ocean parks in the world, featuring hundreds of floating obstacles and attractions spread across both the ocean and then nearby land. The company cannot obtain all of the permits and approvals it needs unless it first secures a lease for the area where the park would be built. And so it says here, company representatives told the port board that they have already received some preliminary approvals from the federal and local agencies, including the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and the Guam's Bureau of Statistics and Plans, but they still need permission from other government agencies. I didn't realize that. Like, can you imagine you own a bunch of these like inflatables, these bouncy inflatables, and the people you got to go to is the Army Corps of Engineers? So you can set up your shop, like I guess because it's in the water.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen these. I've seen these at multiple water parks, right? But I've seen them on YouTube and whatnot. Nothing of this magnitude, especially if they're talking about it being like the world's largest or one of the world's largest. It's an interesting use of land and water. The only issue that I have with it, I mean, I guess, you know, they have their own business plan, so I'm sure they understand that after a while people would want a new obstacle, and so they'll have to replace their inflatables, right?
Yeah.
So that way you get people to come back multiple times. But I mean, I know that there were people running businesses out of there also with jet skis.
Yeah.
Are they still doing that? It's been a while.
I don't know, but I did read something. I want to say a month or a month and a half ago about the sub.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There really isn't much to see anymore, though.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, all of the coral bleaching.
Yeah.
So when you go in these subs, you're not seeing a lot.
You know, they should do like Disneyland, right? Put like these props, like, you know, like Little Mermaid, you know, like man-made octopus and everything and all. So that underwater and everything. At least, you know, you'll never have to worry about wildlife because it'll always be there.
Yeah. I mean, Fisheye does the Sea Walker.
Yeah.
And you'll see more fish when you go do the Sea Walker there, because it's a preserve, right?
Yeah.
There's a whole coral reef that is thriving right now because it's a preserve over by Fisheye. And so I don't know. I mean, I remember going on field trips back in the day as a kid to that submarine, but I don't think that there's much to see anymore. And what's the demand? So
Yeah.
I understand that I was actually surprised to hear that it's still in business. Right? And so they're still holding on to their property.
Well, I think there's a dispute. I mean,
right.
I believe
they've been trying to kick them out for a while.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
The Port Authority.
Right.
Yeah.
But I also think they not only do they do the subs, because to be honest with you, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the subs have ended for years now.
Yeah.
I think what they're operating are like dolphin watches.
Or parasailing, or are they
Maybe parasailing. Parasailing is another thing that we don't see a lot anymore. As a kid, the parasailers all throughout East Tigana.
Yeah.
We would see the parasailers.
I think it was a couple of months ago, like I want to say like probably last summer, where I did actually videotape a couple.
Was it
boats.
down in Malesu?
No. This was down in Agani,
Okay.
Where it normally takes off from.
Yeah.
You know, at the right along Paseo and everything. That from Agani Boat Basin.
Okay, so
Yeah.
somebody is still operating out of a
Yeah.
Hagåtña boat basin.
Mhm.
All right,
I
I
just
haven't
don't-
seen it
yeah.
as often.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it in forever, to be honest with you, in Hagåtña. I do know that they do that down over by Coco's Island, the Bikini
Oh, yeah,
Island
yeah.
Company.
Yeah.
They do that over there. They do a number of things. They
They
still
do
do
jet
the
skis.
jet skiing,
Yeah.
the banana boat.
Yeah.
They have that little Bikini Island swing set or something out there that they bring people out to
Yeah.
to take photos.
And when I saw jet skis, this
Dolphin
was like last
watches.
month. I mean, last summer too, as well. When they did jet skis, I was watching from the shoreline right at the the little boardwalk that they got
Right.
over there. I was watching it. We went all the way to Coco's Island and came back. I'm like, maybe I should, man. How much is that? $10?
Yeah.
Only thing was, I don't want to get stuck. But I think fuel costs, the driving increase of the fuel
Sure,
costs
and
is probably
I
the
can
reason.
imagine the loss of tourists.
Yeah, the loss of
Right?
tourists and
'Cause,
fuel costs.
yeah, you're not getting the same kind of customer,
Yeah.
the amount of customers coming.
And then when the customers see how much it costs, they're like, yeah, no, I'll go to Kmart.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. But I mean, where else can you dip your feet into the water temperatures like ours? I mean, I would even say that our water temperatures are way better than Hawaii's water temperatures and a whole lot safer. Like when it comes to jet skiing and
Yeah.
parasailing, right? And banana boat. So I don't know what, the price ranges are, but it definitely shouldn't be the same price as Hawaii prices.
Yeah.
But people are saying that our prices are pretty dang close. And so how are we able to why do we expect to be able to get the same numbers, right? And so the argument still is that when it comes to the Japanese and the Korean base visitors, we should still win
Yeah, because of our proximity.
our proximity.
Yeah.
Because you're in the water a whole lot faster. You're still on the plane to Hawaii,
Yeah.
and you're already in the water if you chose Guam over them.
True.
However, understanding Hawaii is still recognized, globally
Yeah.
as a global tourist attraction. So I know we're not going to beat out Hawaii. Those numbers will still be more, but it is very concerning, right? That we're not only are we not seeing the businesses that we were used to in the 90s, we're not seeing a lot of other businesses pick it up. And so is this inflatable water park a thing that will attract people? I just don't know. I think it'll just be an addition to what we have.
What we have already. Yeah. I mean, Carl Gutierrez, when he was GVB general manager / president, CEO, whatever, all of that, when he came up with the interactive park that he was proposing.
Oh, the smart park?
The smart park?
That wasn't his.
It wasn't his?
Maybe it was. It was his team.
Yeah. Well,
But he had his own research and development team.
Yeah.
And I remember, I thought it was a great idea.
I thought so too.
Nico Fujikawa was the guy in charge of it, right? And it was I liked it. However, I agreed with the public as far as scaling back. Don't go too extravagant. And I want to say Governor Carl Gutierrez, if I remember, also wasn't happy with the monstrosity that it was looking like. I think they wanted to scale back. Still making it a smart park, but definitely not a giant galleon, Magellan's galleon at the seashore. And man-made waterfalls, at Ipao Park.
Yeah.
I think we need to save our green spaces. We need to plant more
But
trees.
wasn't that park also supposed to be practicing like the environmental?
Yes.
Yeah.
So there were implementations of that, and that's the part that was great. They were going to plant more trees.
I mean, because
They were going to create little like botanical gardens in the area, almost like the by this, what is that? They have it over. I was just there in Singapore. The Gardens by the Bay. They were going to do something very similar to Gardens by the Bay, and it was coined as a smart park. But I think you definitely need to. They definitely should revisit that.
Yeah.
But more green.
I mean,
less buildings, less. Just don't make it look like what is it? Talafofo Falls.
Yeah. I mean,
And the worry was it was starting to look like that.
Yeah. I mean, because
The vision was starting to look like that.
I'm looking right, because I was there in the grand opening of Planet Hollywood.
Okay.
All right. And when Planet Hollywood opened, that was almost the right, because they have Planet Hollywoods all over Asia and everything.
Yeah.
But this American mystique with the Asian community, it's almost like, oh, we gotta go, right? And so when Planet Hollywood actually opened, it was a driver for a lot of these, and then Hard Rock too as well. So it was almost on top of what we have already, this was another attraction. And
But
so,
see, even those it loses its star power
It does,
if you
it
don't
does.
if
If
you
you don't
don't
keep it fresh,
evolve, if
yeah.
you don't freshen it up.
yeah.
Because look, it's not just our Hard Rock that closed down,
Oh yeah. I mean,
right?
yeah,
And Planet Hollywoods all over the globe
Yeah.
were shutting down
yeah, we're shutting down.
long before ours
And
did.
those are things that we couldn't control.
Yeah.
But the mere fact that we had it was an attraction that a lot of the Asian communities.
Oh, it
all
will
these
always
countries-
be.
Yeah.
Because if you just go to Japan, there's like this American pancake house that is super popular in Shinjuku.
Yeah.
The line is out the door. You have to make reservations early in the morning, or else you're not going to be able to eat there. The big part about it is just the word American on it, and it's
Yeah.
got like Route 66
Yeah.
signs all over the place.
I watched this one thing about it was in Japan, and they all dressed up 50s and 60s,
Yes.
and they all listened to Elvis
Yes.
and the Everly Brothers.
I think there's a whole street
yeah. And so when
dedicated to that.
Hard Rock came, that's why you had, remember Mr. Elvis there? The Elvis
Oh, yes,
impersonator?
yes.
He was there. And then they also had Janis Joplin and,
Yes.
all these lookalikes and everything, because that was like the attraction, Hard Rock.
I mean, isn't that why Jimmy D had the persona of Elvis?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Lord bless his soul.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, a lot of people are like, what is Elvis doing here in Tumon? And like, well, it's like, it was specifically targeted for the tourists. They stop by, they take pictures and everything. And so, and then GameWorks was here. So there were a lot of these attractions that were coming into Guam, investing. But then because it's corporate and, we're at the whims of whatever's happening over there in the United States. If they say close, they close, right? I mean,
Yeah.
but on the flip side of things, when you look at it, right, look at how many Kmart's actually closed in the United States. You'll be lucky if you find one. But look at Guam, and the only reason why they keep Guam open is because they're still impressed that on their first day of opening back in '95, it was record breaking for them because they made over $1 million in one day.
I don't think that the current people that own Kmart are the same ones.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I think the current people that own Kmart are not the Kmart owners.
Yeah,
I think they
have, like,
got bought out.
Yeah.
And they're allowed to use the name.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, the only Kmarts that exist, I mean, maybe there's one in Florida. I forget. I have to double check. But they're on U.S. territory, so that kind of tells you something.
Yeah.
Because there is one in the U.S. Virgin Islands, and then there's one in Guam.
Yeah. I mean, Kmart was record breaking that even Walmart was looking at Guam.
Yeah.
Like a few years later, Walmart was actually they were
There's
at,
still a spot for them down in Tumon.
yeah.
They could open up there.
Yeah, I mean, they actually sent advanced teams and study teams to see where they can get property, because the first thing that Walmart looks is parking lot.
Yeah.
How much can they generate as far as parking? Because once they open, they know, I mean, and so look at the mystique that Kmart has with our visitors. I mean, they just go there. Oh, Guam. Oh, Guam chocolate. It's like, and so Walmart, when they saw that and they saw the money-making potential that Guam has with locals and tourists, they were definitely looking. As a matter of fact, a couple of my friends who are real realtors were saying, they actually talked to a couple of people that came from Walmart, and they were actually going and looking at places, and they was like, well, we got to think about traffic. We got to think about where we're going to put this. It has to be near the road. It has to be an intersection. And of course it's like, oh yeah, don't worry, we'll grease some politicians for that. It's like, do you want a four-way? Yeah, don't worry about it. But the mere fact that they had an advanced team to do studies actually, on where they can actually set up shop. They were even also looking at down south too as well. Yeah. So I'm like, that is cool, man. And it's like, it's all because Kmart, made a lot of money on their first week and everything. First day they made $1 million.
Well, there was some worry too that Kmart could have went out of business once Donkey opened up.
Yeah.
And they're both doing pretty well.
Yeah, Donkey is always packed.
And I think that that's good for us as consumers, that, more competition. When you're seeing the amount of sales that are happening and their price matching and whatnot, it's working. And so, I mean, as long as we can keep them both here, then it's going to help us tremendously. And then Coshiless is opening up in Agania.
It was
right. So
it was like, I don't. Did you read when Walmart? I mean, when Macy's said that they were going to be closing up shop and you can do online. This was all over the news, and everybody's like, "Oh man, not my Macy's, not my Macy's." And I'm like, "Don't worry, all right. Think of Kmart. We're shutting down all over the.
Well,
United
they said
States.
that about Forever 21.
Uh-huh.
They said it's not going to be Guam's Forever 21 because Guam makes a lot of money at our Forever 21.
Yeah.
And you know what happened? They closed overnight.
Yeah, they were one of the first ones.
They during COVID, like they didn't tell nobody.
Yeah.
They just took their sign off. They're like, oh, I thought you guys said that you guys weren't going to close. And then they put out like one last announcement, like, all right, going out of sale.
Yeah.
Right.
Everything
and so,
is off.
yes. But they didn't say it until after they took the signs down.
Yeah.
Even when media, because I was part of that whole thing. I was one of the first people to report on it.
Yeah.
That, wait a minute, you said Guam is not on the list. What happened? And they kind of had to walk that back and said changes were made, overnight. And they're like, well, no, Guam was always part of the conversation. I'm like, go check the notes.
Yeah.
Go check it, because you're on the record saying we weren't. But, it's too late now.
So Forever 21 wasn't forever at all?
No, after all, we all get older.
Yeah.
Even the 21-year-olds.
It's funny because I used to take my daughter there, right? And there would be like a lot of beautiful older women, right? It's like, yeah, Forever 21. I'm like, you're not 21.
But they're forever 21.
They're forever 21.
Yeah, forever. Forever, ever. Ever.
So, I mean, but yeah, I mean, my daughter and I, we took full advantage of everything that was off. Well, she did. I was just paying for it. I was just there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think that going back to the smart park and everything, I think Guam needs an attraction. Guam needs to be known for something except fun and sun and all of that, because they got it up in Sinamai. They definitely got it up there in Hawaii. So Guam needs to stand out. And that should be part of the marketing plan. What sets Guam aside from all the rest? And that smart part probably would have done it. It would have helped. But like I said, in the whole scheme of things, when you start talking about what we have here, and it's the same to our brothers and sisters as up north, is the same, as Hawaii, then yeah,
Well,
something's got to give.
transportation also is a big thing,
Yeah.
right? Because the Gardens by the Bay in Singapore is nowhere near the airport.
Yeah.
It's extremely, it's kind of away from where people live. It's definitely not close to the airport.
Yeah.
It's about maybe an hour away from the airport. However, it's an hour away through very consistent, reliable transportation via cheap, very cheap subway system. And so we're not going to get there. We don't have the infrastructure. Maybe we can think about it, and start planning, and then that can be down the road. However, a lot of the conversation is going to happen as far as environmental safety. And then that is just a prolonged conversation.
Yeah.
I'm not for it. I'm not necessarily against it. I think conversation needs to happen, though. However, I mean, what we can do, and just, and because we are a smaller market, we don't have millions of people. So how are we going to pay for a subway system? Is just a better, reliable public transportation system that visitors and locals can utilize together. There is a transportation system already with the red trolleys. However, it's not they don't go everywhere. And so do we have a place almost like, do we have a place that we can be proud of that also highlights our culture that I think we can all be proud of? Yeah, I think it's called the Valley of the Lati.
Yeah.
However, it's far away. It's far away, just like those big trees are. What is it? By the bay. I can't believe I keep forgetting the name of it, but it's a botanical garden. However, you can get to it because it's got reliable transportation.
Yeah.
And so if we figure out a way to just give people reliable transportation to get down to the Valley of the Lati, more people would be willing to get down there and go.
Maybe we
And
need
so,
a freeway system here.
maybe.
Actually, that was actually thought of during the first Berdalia administration. And you know where the freeway is going to be at? On the water.
On the water?
Yeah, where it's almost like, the panhandles in
Yeah.
Florida and all, but side by side.
Right.
So here you have Marine Drive. It would have been on the side. You
Right.
know? So one way down, one way up. And it would have been nice. No traffic.
Because, I
Ricky
mean,
Berdalia was thinking about that.
what do they already? What are people telling other visitors to do? Right, just like anywhere else, where like you want to visit Singapore, follow all of these things. You want to go to Japan, your first time in Tokyo, these are all the things
Yeah.
you should do. They're doing the same thing for us here in Guam, and so they have their own reels and they have their own. What to visit, where to visit,
Yeah.
and it's places like the Emerald Valley
Yeah.
in PT. It is the Valley of the Lati. It's going around the island, and they're telling you to rent a car.
Yeah.
And that is the most preferred way to travel,
Yeah.
is renting a car, because our infrastructure says that's the best way to travel.
Yeah.
It's the most reliable, is renting a car. And so that's the current way. We either lean into that and we just push that, right? However, I don't think it's the cheapest way. And so the government and the rest of us as a community just either have to be willing to pay for, invest more in a better public transit system. We're getting there. I mean, we had a conversation with Tyrone Titano, right, in the park and ride, right? But more needs to get done.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
We'll take the break.
Yes.
All right, 2:47 in the afternoon. We'll take the break. There's a public hearing that I want to get to. This is Senator Vince Boras. We'll give you the details on the other side. We'll probably get to that in the 3 o'clock hour. The Guam Fire Department has some fees that they want to look into, raise some of those fees. And there are town hall meetings set up for that as well. And so that's part of the conversation that we've got for today. If there's anything else that you want to talk about, feel free. 671-922-1051. This is Wave 105, and this is the Bright Side.
It's time to shed those socks and let your toes breathe. Welcome to a very liberating edition of the National Day Spotlight for June 1st.
While shedding your shoes feels like a casual summer luxury, parts of Europe have turned walking without shoes into a wellness science. Across Germany and Austria, towns feature dedicated parks known as barefoot paths. These are carefully engineered walking paths made of contrasting natural textures, including damp mud, smooth river stones, dry pine cones, and rough bark. Stripping off your shoes for National Go Barefoot Day to walk these paths naturally massages the soles of your feet, triggering dozens of neurological pathways that modern footwear completely numbs. By forcing your body to adapt to the changing terrain, you naturally strengthen your foot arches, improve your posture, and experience a sensory connection to the earth that a rubber shoe sole simply cannot provide.
I don't care. I still think that the dry pine cones and the rough bark would be painful. However, not as painful as stepping on a Lego.
That is true.
Or a micro machine.
And I noticed that they took off the broken glass and fires, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's a good thing. We are also celebrating National Say Something Nice Day and National Pen Pal Day. I'm Alice Anderson.
And I'm Marlo Anderson with National Day Calendar, reminding you to celebrate every day.
If you're looking for world-class website hosting at a fair price, Pair Networks is your best choice. Founded in the early days of the web and still going strong today, Pair Networks now hosts over 150,000 websites for its demanding customers worldwide. Setting the standards for excellence, Pair Networks has a technical and support staff that's second to none. A highly stable company with top-of-the-line technology, Pair Networks offers total reliability and flexibility for your website, and even a money-back guarantee. Whether you're a professional web designer or a beginner just getting your site online, Pair Networks has a web hosting plan that's right for you. Make the move today. Log on and learn more at pair.com. That's PAIR.com. Pair Networks. World-class web hosting at a fair price. Visit us at pair.com. Pair Networks.
All the late nights, all the sacrifices, all the coffee. This moment is yours. Celebrate big at Guam Plaza Resort in Cajita or Blue Coral Ballroom. Contact Guam Plaza Resort today or stop by our food and beverage office and let's celebrate together.
Celebrate Father's Day with Power 98 and Wave 105 as we honor our first heroes. To enter, send a WhatsApp message or call in and share your funniest or most heartfelt dad story. Winners will be revealed from June 15th to June 19th, and you can win your dad a special bundle prize. Stay locked in to Power 98 and Wave 105. Brought to you by Guam Plaza Resort, Nana's Cafe, Roots Grill House, AutoWorks, Jollibee, Proline, and Cream and Butter. All summer long, Chili's Party Platters make celebrating easy and delicious. Perfect for grad parties, family gatherings, or anytime you're feeding a crowd. Available for pickup or for delivery. Only at Chili's. Great value and memories happen here.
The road to Adelup is in full swing. We recently spoke with Democrat candidates Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio and Senator Tina Munilla Barnes to learn more about their vision for Guam. Catch the full conversation that took place on May 26th on the Wave 105's YouTube channel. This is a glimpses of Guam radio station.
Feeling good, getting things done. Wave 105.
Treat her like a lady.
before the hour of 3 o'clock. Here's the number, 671-922-1051 or 2. My name is Ryan Nicholas. Always a pleasure picking up this gentleman, the host of the show, The Bright Side, Mr. Pauly Suba.
All right, welcome back. Department of Public Health and Social Services, they put out this announcement. They're reminding cosmetic establishments of the upcoming compliance deadline and new training requirements. And so the cosmetic businesses that have the 3-year grace period, that grace period's ending. They need to comply with the new health and sanitation regulations. And so that grace period ends on August 11, 2026. And then after that date, the rules will be fully enforced. There will be new requirements that apply to barbershops, beauty salons, nail salons, cosmetology schools. So starting August 17, employees who apply for a new or renewed health certificate must take a cosmetology health certificate training course. And then pass the course before receiving their health certificate. The training is designed to teach workers about sanitation, health, and safety standards required under the new regulations. And so the fees are, the annual health certificate fees are $10, so there's no change, but the health certificate training course fee is $15. And so the release states that the new rules were adopted in 2023 and businesses were given 3 years to prepare. Public Health says the training and regulations are intended to help ensure cosmetic establishments follow proper health and sanitation standards to protect customers and employees. Businesses and workers who have not yet prepared for these requirements are encouraged to do so before the August 2026 deadlines. And so it's one of those things, too, where when a law, it's only fair to create these laws and push it out so everybody's in compliance.
Yeah.
However, people forget that that the rules are changing, not because they wanted to, but because a law changed 3 years ago, and then you're giving them a fair amount of time to prepare. And so what happens sometimes is people are like, well, why all of a sudden? I'm like, no, not all of a sudden. It's so sorry that the owner of the establishment that you're working at didn't tell you.
Well, you know what I didn't forget? I didn't forget how my haircut was $15, and then now it's like $20, right? And then that was like the first place I would go to, and then the second place, it used to be $20.
Sure.
Now it's like $28, and I'm like, okay, guys, this is not cool.
Well,
right?
it's not. I don't think that it's because of these health certificates.
Of course not. No,
it's because of the price to pay for these.
No.
You know, everybody's salaries have gone up.
Yeah.
The price of the products have gone up.
Yes.
Supply chain.
Supply and demand.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, we import all of this.
Yeah.
And what used to cost $8 at Little Tommy's is now, $25.
Well, the point I'm trying to
Hey,
make...
it comes with a really good massage.
Yeah. The point I'm trying to make is...
On your shoulder, not anywhere else.
You guys are charging me an arm and a leg. Pay your bills. Pay your fees. Dang
yeah.
If you're gonna charge me, from $15 to $20.
So, I mean, I'm all for
better not be late.
reasonable regulations and sanitation, right? Health standards, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I remember trying to do like these barber jamborees. Like basically, it's barber competitions.
Oh yeah, like you ever see those movies where they have like the city of Atlanta, they get who has the best hair weaves and the best fades.
But we were trying to do it at a club one time, and the hottest DJs, the hottest bartenders, and the hottest barbers, and we thought it was a great idea. Public Health said no, it's not, because you got hair flying everywhere into people's drinks, and they're drinking hair. So we had to go back to the drawing board. But okay, so we found another establishment that wasn't at a bar and didn't serve food. And it was still very difficult to do.
Any
there's
health
another
concerns,
one that we were wanting to do, a tattoo competition. And it kind of is like the what is it, the one that's on TV? there was a whole there's a competition on TV where the best tattoo artists compete for like 8 straight weeks.
I think Snooki was on that.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And we
Jersey Shore.
wanted to do something like that too, but obviously not for 8 weeks.
Yeah.
But again, just trying to get those things through public health, it's just been a wall. And I think that some of these events could be a lot of fun. Right, but I mean, obviously, with the sanitation regulations,
I think public health needs to
different.
Maybe relax a little.
Relax a little bit,
I
please.
mean, because if you're seeing this, if you're seeing all of this take place in the United States, you would think, okay, what's going on? What are they doing that we're as far as their public health is concerned? Why how are they doing it? And the public health gave them the approval. What are we missing here? I mean, because it would be fun and it'll be a great promotion. And man, I mean, I would love to see how hair gets cut. And then, especially like with the 2 people that cut my hair, I would like to see them go at it.
I want to see them go at it. And to be honest with you, I think cutting hair is a lot easier than the tattoo contest.
Oh yeah,
because now you're dealing with blood and needles and whatnot. But that also, I've seen happen in the States too, and we're trying to do something similar. Yeah. But of course, we hit a wall when it comes to the sanitation, which I totally understand. I get it, but that's why there are things called waivers. But and you're taking lots of art, right? And an art that's there against some of these other tattoo shops, right? And just see, those bragging rights, but not just bragging rights. They would be compensated for their talent. Somebody would win $5,000,
I'm sorry. All this talk about public health, I'm just thinking, I'm like, what if I throw a mud wrestling contest or something? And they come in and like, no, the mud has the mud has a lot of bacteria.
Right.
You know how they
if you want to do that, then
bacteria.
Make sure everybody's wearing masks. I'm like, okay, but people play football in the mud, right?
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. It's like, no, you can't do that because of bacteria in the mud. I'm like, hello, it's mud.
Yeah. But, sometimes all the good ideas die at public health.
Yeah, that's public health, where ideas go to die. Where they rain on your parade. The dark cloud that follows you. I could go on.
Yeah.
No, but the reason why they do that is to
I
keep
get
the island safe. I mean, they're pretty much good at it. I mean, if hantavirus came to Guam, they're going to be the first to let us know.
Yeah.
I mean,
I would probably be I would be the first person that they quarantine too.
Yeah.
Like, Pauly doesn't sound right for the last. I'm trying to shake it off. It's almost out of my system. We're tracking that guy.
All right. It's 3:01.
Yeah, we'll take the break.
We'll take the
break. All right,
break.
KGUM FM in Dededo, Guam.
All right, here we go.
Wave 105.1 FM, the talk of Guam, a proud Glimpses media radio station.
GM picks up the pace on self-driving technology. This is Jeff Gilbert with the Car Chronicles. Hands-free Super Cruise has been a success, but it requires you to keep your eyes on the road. When the next generation Cadillac Escalade IQ debuts in a couple of years, CEO Mary Barra says its technology will let you take your eyes off the road.
The Escalade IQ is just the start. We are doing something unique in the autonomous space, which is developing a system for personal vehicles that we can deploy on both ICE vehicles and EVs and scale across multiple brands and price points.
GM's doing a lot of work developing that technology.
We're stress testing it in the digital environment capable of simulating roughly 100 years of human driving every single day. We recently took the next step and began supervised on-road testing in California and Michigan.
GM recently shifted its attention from the robo-taxi market to automation for personal vehicles. With the Car Chronicles, I'm Jeff Gilbert, CBS News.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the show hosts, guests, and callers, and do not necessarily reflect the views of the staff or management of Wave 105.1 FM, Glimpses Media, or our partners. sponsors. We strive to provide quality, respectful, and engaging content, and we welcome you to participate in the conversation. Thank you for tuning in to Wave 105.1 FM. Enjoy the show.
My name is Emma. I am 13 years old. 6 years ago, I was injured in a car accident that left me paralyzed from the waist down. Once I completed rehab, my mom applied for a canine companion service dog. Last January, I finally got to meet my service dog, Marcia. We quickly developed a very strong bond. Together, we go to my horseback riding lessons, school band practice, swim meets, and archery classes. Together, we pick vegetables, and we like to cut flowers. I love Marcia. She makes me feel like together we can do anything. I can't imagine life without her. She's a part of the family. We are just one of the thousands of teams Canine Companions has paired together over the past 50 years. With your help, we can continue for another 50. Visit canine.org to see the many ways you can change lives.
I can tell that we are gonna be friends.
Do you hear that? And that? And that? Those are the sounds of a healthy and vibrant community. And to this United Way volunteer, nothing sounds better. They're the sounds of children being given greater chances to succeed in school. The sounds of neighbors receiving the support needed to overcome challenges, both big and small. They're the sounds of families gaining access to quality health care and nutritious food for their tables. And they're the sounds of members of our community who've benefited from United Way's financial education programs. See, wherever there's a need in our communities, there's a United Way. People working together to respond and growing the good for everyone. United is the way. So join us by getting involved or giving back. Learn more at unitedway.org.
Talking about guns with others might not always feel comfortable, but it could save a life. Here's a way to start a conversation. Your family is going over to your neighbor's home for dinner for the first time. How would you ask if there are any unlocked guns in the home?
Hey, we're so excited for tonight. Before we come over, may I ask a few questions?
Yeah, of course.
Do you have any pets?
Yes, we have a dog.
Great. Do you have a pool outside?
Nope, just a big old backyard.
Nice. Another question. Are there any unlocked guns in the home?
Our guns are stored securely, locked in a safe that the kids can't access.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Now, let's just talk about what we can bring for dessert.
Learn how to have the conversation at agreetoagree.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the Ad Council.
Balanced, fair, thoughtful. Wave 105 FM.
KGUM FM, Dededo, Guam. It's the BrightSide with this gentleman right here, Mr. Pauly Suba.
We do want to thank our sponsors, Triple J, bringing you the bright side. Triple J Auto. Right now at Triple J Ford, get a free $500 gas card when you drive home with a new Ford truck. Visit triplejguam.com and get pre-approved instantly. Also, Subway, you got to refresh to be fresh. Chili's Grill and Bar at Chili's. More life, great food, and memories happen here. Remember, the graduates eat free. I'm going to have a graduate tomorrow. John F. Kennedy graduates tomorrow over at the University of Guam. Their ceremony will be at 9 a.m. tomorrow.
How many students?
Be going there. I'm not sure. There's quite a few, though. Not as many as when we were going to school because there are more high schools now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, yeah, don't forget over at Chili's Grill and Bar, bring your graduate, bring that diploma or a copy of a diploma. And it can be anything. So it could be 5th grade going to 6th grade, 8th grade going to 9th grade, obviously 12th grade graduating high school, and then even your college degree too. I wonder if you get 4 free meals if you got 4 diplomas. I saw some overachievers. Maybe not 4, but I definitely saw quite a few double majors.
Wow.
It's like, wow, look at you.
Double.
You get to sleep warmer at night with those 2 giant diplomas.
Let me go to the Philippines. I'll get like 5. I'll come back.
No, but well deserved. If you did put them over you wouldn't need a blanket. That's how big some of those diplomas were.
It came with its own special carrying case.
Yeah. No, you're right. They do.
They did?
They do.
I was just wow. Okay.
Yeah, I mean the fold that they go into, that they, their displays.
Yeah.
Right? You open it up and you put it on your mantle.
Wow.
Right? Or on your wall, so when people come in, they immediately get overwhelmed like, wow, look at those 2 giant diplomas.
When I went to my fast track college of being a medical assistant, and they gave me my diploma, I got one of those, a National Office Supply whatchamacallit frames.
Okay.
And I just put it up there.
There you go. Heck yeah.
It was all plastic.
It's all about pride. I mean, this it's not easy. Right? That's a lot of sweat and tears. And
it was.
Plenty of work that goes in, time and studying that goes into that.
Yeah, not only that, but the student loan that I had to pay afterwards.
Yeah. You should have just waited. You would have got it forgiven by Biden. But again, bring your graduate. I know I'm going to be bringing my graduate over to Chili's later on.
Are they doing Father's Day like they did Mother's Day?
Yes, they are. You can win a whole, I think it's a barbecue pit. I got to double check.
Wow.
Let me see what they. Yeah. They're definitely doing something. There's a giveaway.
Okay.
Yeah, you order from that menu, you're entered to win. So I know that they were doing that for Mother's Day, and they're doing something very similar for Father's Day. Yeah. We have somebody on the line?
Yes, we have caller in line 1.
Hafaday, Wave 105, you're on the air.
Howdy.
Hey.
Hey, speaking of Father.
Yeah. Father's Day, yeah.
So, yeah, some of those diplomas could be called diplomats. They're so large, huh?
Well, we don't want to walk on them. I mean,
No. You can wear them, though.
Yes, you can.
Like a coat or something.
Yes. What's going on, Dad?
Oh, congrats. We'll see you tomorrow.
Yes. And we got a lot to celebrate. Today is our my brother's birthday, Jared.
Ah, okay.
Celebrating his birthday today. Yes.
Yeah, happy birthday. And, yeah, you guys are awesome, man. Continue with what you do, and we love listening.
I appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right. See you. If I don't see you later today, I'll see you tomorrow for sure. At
See you tomorrow.
Aaron's
all right, my boy.
Graduation.
Love you guys.
Okay, love you.
Take care.
Thank you, Chief.
So Father's Day, which already started in May, right? I see the ribs, the stack of ribs, and you have a chance to win a Miller Lite branded grill.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
It says here how to join. Order a Father's Day selected menu plus a Miller Lite. You'll get 1 entry. Grab more Miller Lite bottles, and you get more chances to win. Obviously, you must be 20 years or older, right? Because that's, you can be any age to be a father, but not to drink. So you definitely have to be 21 years or older in order to enter. Get all the details at chilisguam.com/special promos. Yes, let's celebrate Dad.
Good to know.
The Chili's way. And so, yeah, that's... I didn't go to the Tumon Night Market.
I saw a couple videos on it.
Because they moved it. They're now right in front of Chili's.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what'd you see?
I
mean, I didn't go because I was already...
I thought it was going to be
tired.
less people, but it still looked like they probably did a couple thousand over there.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so I think it's a little bit better. I mean,
okay.
Considering, right, there were a lot of complaints from the businesses that were, adjacent to where it was first put, over there right in front of,
I thought it brought more traffic.
Well, yeah, it brought more traffic, but it was hard. It was traffic just trying to get into, if you had a function to go to, right, at the hotel. Yeah, so, and then, of course, a lot of businesses were saying, well, there's a lot of people, but they're not coming to ours. That's pretty much,
What would it change though if they just moved? So they moved all over to Tumon Sands.
Yeah.
So now there's no traffic over there.
Yeah,
so
it'll be interesting to see what those same businesses that were complaining say now, right? Like, why you guys put it there?
So it does its job. It brings the foot traffic. Now, if you got a good product, wouldn't that be like right there? I haven't eaten at this restaurant, right?
Well,
I'm here. Let's go eat there. It's in the AC.
Yeah.
And, it's more comfortable. I think that's a good selling point. But now that you're further away, you're not just right there.
Back at States, it's all about how you market yourself. And you're right. Because I see people with arrows dressed up in a chicken suit, pointing into the restaurant.
Every Sunday at 6 p.m. happy hour.
Yeah, they could have done that, dressing a mascot,
pizzas or whatever they got selling over there, or 20% off, 25% off. Come in with something that you bought at the Tumon Night Market. We'll give you 30% off.
Yeah, you could have been handing out like these coupons that you can redeem. Yes. Here you go. Go and check it out.
Right? Or even somebody walking down the street saying, free dessert tonight between 6 and 8 p.m.
Yeah, that would have generated some foot traffic.
An extra stack of pancakes. I don't know. Whatever restaurant's down there.
Yeah. Yeah, they could have done it. I don't know. I haven't been down to the.
I didn't see it happening when I would go, but I thought that was advantageous. You brought 400 plus people every Sunday that are normally not there are now there. Mm-hmm. So I thought that didn't make sense, and so the reason why we never shared any of the business names is because none of the business names openly said that they were upset.
Yeah.
So I'm like, who are the businesses? No one said that they were upset. When we were at GVB and they were doing a press conference on, how successful the Tumon Night Market was, there were companies there that were happy.
Yeah.
And I would even say, who was there? So we just go off the record, right? California Pizza Kitchen. They're a brick and mortar.
Yeah.
They were there. Very happy about the Tumon Night Market being there. There were a number of vendors that were so happy that Tumon Night Market exists. The Corned Company, they absolutely love it. Rick Hernandez of Tot Island, another person that said, every Sunday, now is a place where we can sell our products, and it's consistent.
Well, yeah, I don't know what, like I said, I only saw the videos, and it seemed like a lot of people were there. A lot of people were having fun.
I thought that was very smart. When are you ever going to have easily 400 customers right outside your door?
Yeah.
Every week. Who's not going to be happy about that?
Yeah. There was talk about putting it in Epal Beach, right?
That's too far away from any vendor.
And then I've actually talked to a couple people that said, no, they've had the Tumon Night Markets here, but it wasn't.
They did try that during the summer.
Yeah.
They brought the food trucks down to EPAL, and it wasn't as successful as what we're seeing now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I've yet to go down there. But from what I've been seeing with, the previous place versus this, I don't know. I mean, I still have to wait until they do another.
I am interested. I was just way too tired to go last night. I was
yeah.
at the PTC festival all weekend long, so I was not about to go there to go check it out. But I am interested to see how the new spot looks like.
You know what was very, very interesting was I went on Saturday, right? It was packed, and then of course you did Sunday too as well down at Petey, and you said that the turnout was good, but at the same time the turnout was good at 2 months, so people are craving for such events.
Yeah.
That you don't have to compete with one another, because there's going to be people that go there, and there's going to be people that go, to the other place, and so that right there for me is actually, it's very inspiring to see that.
Well, I think Mayor Jesse Alec
did
did a very he was very creative in what he wanted to provide, because it is very different from what anybody else was doing.
Yeah.
When they're providing a mangrove tour.
Yeah.
They're providing a snorkeling tour. I think he did, everybody involved did exactly what they envisioned, right? Because it was definitely more educational. It was more at the forefront of things was our culture, and not just Guam's culture, not just the Chamorro culture, but our brothers and sisters throughout the region.
Yeah.
Were all highlighted.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
and then the water connects us all.
Yeah, and then
so,
the canoe displays, how it was going back and forth, and then you had the students from UOG and the Chukis community to come out and sing.
Yeah.
And you saw all their families turn out just to support this. So
absolutely.
It was really good.
And Rikasen Itasi, right? That means riches of the sea. And so they highlighted the riches of the sea. And so if that was the goal, they hit it right on the nail. So it's different. What Mayor Alec accomplished is something that is not like any of the other Guputs, not like any of the other festivals. And I think that's the key, is it just can't be the same. All you did was change the village.
Yeah.
What makes Mango Festival so special is practically every single vendor has something associated with the mangoes. It's a requirement. If you don't, you can't even set up shop there.
Yeah.
Because it is expected that if I walk around, everybody that goes down to the Mango Festival can go from one vendor to the next and expect something that is mango associated with the mangoes. And so I would say that is the reason why theirs is arguably the best, right? I mean, you saw it in the numbers of the amount of people that showed up.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, traffic was delayed by an hour and a half. And when is it ever that slow down in Hogak?
Right.
It's never, never. People were begging for dirt roads to be paved up on the hillside just to get around it.
They should have went through the village.
You can't get a. If you went to Naval Mag, you still can't get to the other side.
Wow.
Yeah. You can go all the way Cross Island and then go, but that's way too much of a detour. Yeah, you can't go up the hill and come out the other side.
Wow.
Yeah, maybe there are in some of the ranches, but that's private property.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Well,
yeah,
but they did a good job.
Yeah. That's really the goal, is just, do what Mayor Alec did.
Yeah.
Make your festival different from any of the others. And then I would also say there are how many weekends in a year. Just work together with GVB and all the other mayors and make sure your weekends aren't so close to each other.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and I know,
because I guess that would be my only criticism for Mayor Alec. It was one weekend after Mango Festival. And so I think he has already said that it is in April. The whole reason why it was last weekend was Sinlaku.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be in April.
I think, along on those lines, even Regine Bisco Lee, she's very mindful of what takes place out of Tumon with the villages. So she tries her best not to clash on those certain days.
Right.
But to what I was just talking about earlier, PD did their thing, and then also Tumon did their thing. So it was a balance.
Yeah.
And some people actually went there and then went down to Tumon. So,
Right.
so
Well,
even-
the Tumon Night Market wasn't even open on the Mango Festival.
Yeah.
They closed it.
They closed
did
it
not,
just for that
to
particular.
make sure that everybody knew to go down to the Mango Festival.
You know.
And that's something that they're willing to do. They did it for the Molesu Crab Festival too.
Yeah.
That there was no Sunday night market. There was no Tumon night market
Yeah.
during the Molesu Crab Festival. So GVB is obviously willing to do that.
Yes.
Why? Well, they're also sponsoring these festivals.
Yeah.
They sponsored the PTC festival. You know, and so they're definitely working with the mayors.
Yeah.
And so, again, I would definitely look at the calendar, which I know that they are, and it just so happened to be the weekend that they moved it. Just so happened to be the weekend after the Mango Festival.
Yeah.
It was scheduled to be in April. However, Typhoon Sinlaku came, and so they had to push it. I think because of that, if it stays in April and the success that it already has had, I think you're going to see an even bigger turnout next year. That lineup was so impressive. From beginning to end, everybody on stage was just, they put on an amazing show. And what a treat it was to see all of them on the same stage Saturday and Sunday. I mean, my goodness, Boomer was there. And people are paying upwards of $30 and up to go watch him at nightclubs.
Yeah.
And we got to see him, dressed down in a very intimate venue with the backdrop of the Pacific Ocean. I mean, you're not going to get that.
Yeah.
So I was very happy with everything that they did over the weekend. Let's do this because we'll probably spend the rest of this hour and maybe half of next hour talking about this bill from Senator Vince Borja. He wasn't there in the public hearing.
I think he's off island.
Yeah?
Yeah. I believe he's off island.
Okay. So this is Bill 288-38, introduced by Senator Vince Borja. And so Senator Jesse Lujan, you're going to see him and hear him. He read a statement on behalf of Senator Borja because Senator Jesse says because of family matters. The bill is meant to protect government employees who earned annual leave but could not use it because of staffing shortages, vacancies, and agency demands. The bill would give employees a one-time chance to carry over annual leave above the 320-hour cap into the next fiscal year. And so here's Senator Jesse Lujan, again, sharing the statements of Senator Vince Borja, who was unable to attend.
Behind this measure were clearly conveyed.
You just have to bring up that pod.
Mr. Chairman, Bill 288-38 COR
like we practice.
seeks to address a long-standing and increasingly urgent issue
No
within
worries.
our
You can
public
just play it.
workforce.
You can just
The
bring up
loss
the
of
pod now. You
earned
don't have to
annual
transition.
leave due to ongoing
good.
staffing shortages, operational demands, and management challenges across government agencies. This bill is straightforward in its intent. It provides a one-time opportunity for employees who have accrued more than 320 hours of annual leave to carry over those excess hours into the next fiscal year. This is not about expanding benefits beyond what has been earned. It is about ensuring that employees do not lose compensation they have already earned through years of public service simply because they were unable to take leave when requested. We have heard consistently from employees across all sectors, teachers, law enforcement officers, first responders, and administrative staff who have accumulated leave balances well beyond the cap, some even to the tune of over 2,000 hours. Most importantly, these are not cases of employees choosing not to take time off. These are cases where leave requests were submitted and denied due to staffing shortages, operational demands, and vacancies that have left agencies stretched thin. Our employees continue to show up, take on additional responsibilities, and keep government services running under increasingly difficult conditions. This bill recognizes that reality. It ensures that employees are not penalized for circumstances they did not create. When someone has earned leave through service, dedication, and time, that benefit should not be forfeited because the system was unable to accommodate their absence. At the same time, this measure brings into sharp focus two broader structural issues that must be addressed. First, there is a need for stronger oversight and management of accrued leave at the agency level. Allowing leave balances to grow unchecked to the point of potential forfeiture reflects a breakdown in planning and supervisory responsibility. Second, we must confront the ongoing challenges within Department of Administration and across all agencies in recruitment and retention. Chronic understaffing drives a cycle where employees cannot take leave. Workloads increase and burnout becomes more likely, further exacerbating retention issues. I want to also acknowledge Chairman Duenas for his leadership and partnership in moving this measure forward and for ensuring that the necessary information was obtained through the committee process. I do, however, want to express my concern regarding the fiscal note submitted by the administration. BBMR and DOA indicated that they do not have sufficient information to determine the fiscal impact of this bill. That statement is troubling. When the government's own human resources and budget offices cannot quantify the accrued leave liability owed to public employees, it highlights a significant gap in basic personnel accounting. We have invested substantial resources into GFMIS, a system that was intended to provide real-time data and transparency in exactly these types of issues. Yet we are still unable to produce a clear accounting of leave balances without legislative inquiry and intervention. I want to also commend Senator Duenas and my colleagues, the oversight chairpersons, for doing the work of reaching out to agencies, gathering data, and helping to quantify what is owed to our workforce. That diligence stands in contrast to the administrative gaps we are currently confronting. While the total number of employees with leave hours that are over 320 are still being received for compilation. At the bare minimum, this bill ensures that employees are not penalized for management shortcomings. At its core, Bill 288-38 CRR is about fairness and accountability. Our public employees have fulfilled their obligations to this government and to the people of Guam. This measure ensures they are not disadvantaged because of systematic inefficiencies in how leave is managed. I respectfully ask for your support of Bill 288-38 CR, and thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you again for allowing me.
All right, so again, this is Borja's statement read aloud by Senator Jesse, right? And so he said, the issue shows two bigger problems in government. Agencies are not properly managing leave balances, and Guam continues to struggle with recruitment and retention. And so he also criticizes BBMR and DOA for saying they did not have enough information to determine the bill's fiscal impact. And so Bora is saying that it's troubling because the government should know how much leave it owes its employees. He said the government has spent money on their FMIS system to improve real-time financial tracking, but still cannot clearly account for employee leave balances. And so Senator Vince Bora is saying that this bill 288 is about fairness and accountability. So the chairman Senator Chris Duenas, he said it's fair to share the timeline and the fiscal concern. And he said it was important to explain how the issue even developed. He says the Attorney General issued an opinion on October 10, stating that the government employees may only accumulate up to 320 hours of annual leave. DOA then sent a memo to agencies on March 5th, 2026, and Acting Governor Josh Tenorio sent a memo to the Speaker on March 11, asking for help addressing the issue. And you'll hear Senator Chris Duenas say, mention this, but then also provide even more information.
Accountability. Speaker BJ Cruz is here. I don't see anybody else in attendance. And I'll wait for a sign-up sheet from my staff in case there's anyone else. It looks like it's just the OPA. I think it's very important for the people of Guam who are listening today and watching us on our YouTube channel and probably trying to gather information here, that we do the timeline on this particular issue that has come forward. The AG's opinion on October 10, 2025, when that opinion came out, it clarified and made the legal finding that 320 hours is all of the leave, annual leave that can be accumulated to an employee. DOA sent a memo to agencies on March 5, 2026, and I believe that's to notify them. I'm not even sure if at that time they asked for them to accumulate or to send in the accumulation of their employees that are affected, of course, by Department administration and others to calculate what that impact might be. Acting Governor Joshua Tenorio's memo to the Speaker on March 11, 2026 memorialized this issue and asked, I guess, for help, and the Speaker can comment on that when we go forward. I want to be clear that there are 2 other bills that are pending public hearing on this matter. However, the Office of Finance and Budget, and as the chairman, is concerned about the fiscal impact of the numbers that we're seeing so far that are coming in from agencies, particularly in law enforcement agencies and others. There are numbers as high as 2,000 hours of annual leave due. And I can tell you that especially in these agencies whereby those kind of hours have been accumulated, I'm sure a number of employees are affected by that, and maybe some of them near retirement. And we all know what happens when an employee separates from the government. They are to be paid all annual leave that is due to them, and this could accumulate into the millions of dollars that is not anticipated through the normal budget process. Another issue with regard to this matter is that we are still pending, I believe, 2 agencies. And so once that information comes in, or we're able to at least do some work with it to see a much better job by OFB, I believe will be done in terms of making an estimate on fiscal impact of those hours above 320, and then we can at least have a public hearing whereby there will be a full understanding that there is a major fiscal impact to the bills going forward, and that needs to be considered either through the budget process or through communication with the executive branch. How will you handle this? Will you absorb it as some sort of obligation to where you're transferring to these agencies, or how are you going to support the payout of these numbers, because we are realizing that they're going to be quite substantial. So with
All
that,
right, so
I'd like to
just
call
pause
up
right there,
the
and
OPA
then,
speaker.
We'll get to, on the other side of the break, we'll get to Public Auditor BJ Cruz's testimony. He was the only one in attendance, which was very confusing, because when you're talking about government employees losing their leave that they earned, I was expecting them in droves.
Yeah.
I was expecting them to show up. However, I mean, it did happen on a weekday, on a Thursday at 2 p.m. And so if they can't go on leave when they wanted to for so many, years because of the, the lack of manpower, especially with GPD, how they mention in how Senator Chris Duenas says, for example, there are some that have as much as 2,000 hours of annual leave. I don't think that they want to take their annual leave at 2 p.m. on a Thursday, but maybe they would if they were allowed to. That's the part that can't be forgotten.
Yeah.
Because some of the conversation is, well, wow, you're just collecting it and you're just abusing it.
Well,
But if the statement is that they have not been allowed to because of a shortage of staff, then that's the statement unless you can prove otherwise.
You know, I'm remembering the time when GPD had the issue of overtime, right? One, because they same thing, short in staff, and they needed to put these officers out, for public safety, of course. And so, everybody was making, GPD's making so much overtime. I'm like, well, here's the situation. Hire more police officers so that these guys don't collect more sick
Right.
leave and they don't collect more overtime because the work is spread out. And so it's just going back to that now, because I remember when I was working at the legislature, hey, you're not allowed to make more than 300 hours. And stop making me work.
Right. Public Auditor BJ Cruz makes some very fair points, and I want to get to that, and we'll do that on the other side of these. I know we'll get also our first look at traffic too, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Let me do that right about now. Okay, hold that thought. There we go. Okay.
My name is Erica, and my son, Kason, is a patient at Shriners Children. My oldest called me and said Kason got burnt. The trauma doctor came in and said he needs to go to Shriners.
His injury was a big injury, and I think a testament to the care that we provide. He's fully functional. He's riding his dirt bike, doing all of the things that you would want him to do.
We're just so thankful that Kason is still here. Go online right now to loveshriners.org.
Real talent is defined by what people can do, not where they learn to do it. So by stopping at the education section of a resume, you might throw away the perfect hire. Skills First Hiring helps you see talent others miss, like more than 70 million stars, skilled through alternative routes. Let their story unfold and gain a competitive advantage, because hiring managers who start with skills are 60% more likely to find a successful hire. Hire skills first. Learn why at tearthepaperceiling.org. Brought to you by Opportunity at Work and the Ad Council.
We are all for first-time guests and longtime friends. All for First Light and Starlight. For road trips and trail runs. All for mountaintops and monuments. River bends and battlefields. We're all for showing up and giving back. To protect, to preserve, to pass it on. All parks depend on us, and we're all for parks. Join us at nationalparks.org/allforparks.
Hi, human. I'm a micro monster swimming around in your plastic water bottle. But I can't wait to swim in your bloodstream soon.
Microplastics are micro monsters.
Drink me. Wait, what are you doing?
But you can fight back by using glass or metal reusable water bottles.
No!
Don't let microplastic micro monsters invade your body. Find more ways to fight back at stopmicromonsters.org.
3:41 in the afternoon. It's our first look at the roads of Guam. He's going to help you move forward, along with the sponsor of this segment, Guam Auto Spot. It's Mr. Pauly Suba. Buenas.
All right, I don't see too many issues at 3:41 in the afternoon on your major roadways. Route 4 looks pretty decent all the way through Talampago, Ordot, and then Route 10 in Manilao looks pretty decent as well. Just minor delays at those major intersections, and really the only holdup are the red lights. Other than that, it's nice and easy for you all throughout Marine Corps Drive as well. Just maybe some minor delays right around John F. Kennedy High School, but you'll be able to get through that. Upper Tumon looks nice and easy. The intersection where Route 1 and 16 meet, that's pretty decent as well. Coming out of Route 3, that is General Ben Blas Boulevard. Coming out by Guam Regional Medical City, I don't see too many issues there either. You should be able to go left easily onto Route 1 heading northbound, or make a right heading southbound. That's even smoother. Once again, helping you move forward on this Monday, that's Guam Auto Spot. Schedule that test drive today. Call them up, 478-AUTO. View their inventory on their website at guamautospot.com.
It's time to shed those socks and let your toes breathe.
Welcome to a very liberating edition of the National Day Spotlight for June 1st.
While shedding your shoes feels like a casual summer luxury, parts of Europe have turned walking without shoes into a wellness science. Across Germany and Austria, towns feature dedicated parks known as barefoot paths. These are carefully engineered walking paths made of contrasting natural textures, including damp mud, smooth river stones, dry pine cones, and rough bark. Stripping off your shoes for National Go Barefoot Day to walk these paths naturally massages the soles of your feet, triggering dozens of neurological pathways that modern footwear completely numbs. By forcing your body to adapt to the changing terrain, you naturally strengthen your foot arches, improve your posture, and experience a sensory connection to the earth that a rubber shoe sole simply cannot provide.
I don't care. I still think that the dry pine cones and the rough bark would be painful. However, not as painful as stepping on a Lego.
That is true.
Or a micro machine.
And I noticed that they took off the broken glass and fire, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's a good thing. We are also celebrating National Say Something Nice Day and National Pen Pal Day. I'm Alice Anderson.
And I'm Marlo Anderson with National Day Calendar, reminding you to celebrate every day.
If you're looking for world-class website hosting at a fair price, Pair Networks is your best choice. Founded in the early days of the web and still going strong today, Pair Networks now hosts over 150,000 websites for its demanding customers worldwide. Setting the standards for excellence, Pair Networks has a technical and support staff that's second to none. A highly stable company with top-of-the-line technology, Pair Networks offers total reliability and flexibility for your website, and even a money-back guarantee. Whether you're a professional web designer or a beginner just getting your site online, Pair Networks has a web hosting plan that's right for you. Make the move today. Log on and learn more at pair.com. That's PAIR.com. Pair Networks. World-class web hosting at a fair price. Visit us at pair.com. Pair Networks.
Attention all 2026 graduates! Looking for the perfect spot to celebrate your big achievement? Chili's is the best place to be. Just show proof of graduation and enjoy a complimentary meal on us. Now through June 30th. It's our way of saying congrats. Some restrictions apply. Visit chilisguam.com/special promos for more details. Only at Chili's. Great food and memories happen here.
The road to Adelup is set. This time, we sit down with Democrat candidates Senator Joe St. Augustine and former Senator Dwayne St. Nicholas. Catch the full conversation that took place on May 8th on the Wave 105 YouTube channel. Stay informed and hear their vision for Guam's future. Wave 105 is a Glimpses of Guam radio station.
Welcome back to BrightSide right here on Wave 105. Don't forget to celebrate this Father's Day with Wave 105, honoring our first heroes. You can win your dad a special bundle package from our proud sponsors. That's Guam Plaza Resort, Nana's Cafe, Roots Grill House, Auto Works, Jollibee, Proline, Cream and Butter, and so much more, right? And so to participate, send a text to our WhatsApp line at 671-922-1051, 922-1051. Submit your funniest or your most heartfelt dad story, and we'll keep track of that. And then eventually, before Father's Day, we'll make the announcement of who has won. I know we'll give out prize packages throughout next week, and so you can already start sending those stories now, though. Once again, 671-922-1051. Submit your funniest or your most heartfelt dad story. All right, so we're, again, we've got Public Auditor BJ Cruz on deck, and so he is sharing his testimony on Bill 288. This is again Senator Vince Bora's bill that would temporarily allow government of Guam employees to use excess annual leave through September 30 of 2027. And so basically, I mean, if you're looking at people that have excess of 2,000 hours, they're going to need some time to use this excess leave. So Public Auditor B.J. Cruz, he supports the intent of the bill. He did explain that a new Governmental Accounting Standards Board rule, or known as GASB 101, now requires governments to report compensated absences, such as annual leave, in their financial statements. And so Cruz says that some agencies are struggling to figure out how to properly record this liability. And so he said this can become a large financial obligation because employees who earned leave years ago are paid out at their current salary when they retire or leave government service. So, for example, someone who earns leave when they made $14 an hour could later be paid out at $60 or $70 an hour. And so he said even if the total amount is not considered material compared to the entire government budget, it can still seriously affect smaller agencies. And so here's the thing, too. I mean, what is the point of a public auditor if he's not going to be taken seriously?
True.
And I almost feel like the government is not taking what he says seriously.
Well, I had a conversation with Speaker BJ, and I was like, man, your agency needs more bite. Like, if they don't follow what you're saying, you have more like prosecutory.
Has he told you that he'd rather not, though, that it be the AG to do that?
Yeah.
However, they need to take what he says, very seriously.
He actually looked at me like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Hell no.
and so I saw his frustration when it was published on YouTube. KOAM, I have to shout them out because I didn't attend the Guam, the Chamber of Commerce.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't attend the meeting. And so they put it out in its entirety, and that's how I was able to watch it.
Yeah.
And he was sharing, just like he has in the past, his frustration that he just feels like even senators are not reading at least the executive summary.
Yeah.
You're not even reading the executive summary of his audit findings. And he knows this because he has already said you need to really pay more attention and call for an oversight on what is happening at the charter schools. And yet you're introducing bills to make more charter schools.
Well, they have this thing, this AI program that they got. They could just what did you say, BJ? Okay, let me have all of that and I'll put it in the AI and see. Then that would be my take on it. I mean, so they really don't need to read it. Just, I mean, I don't
summarize the summary. I mean, the executive summary is already summarized.
I mean, I guess break it down to layman's terms, right? That's what AI is supposed to do, right? But yeah, I mean, your staff is the one that's supposed to read it and then make the recommendations. Like, look, you really need to take a look at this.
So I'm all for the AI tools. I get it. But I now want to ask the question, who here is relying on AI? Because that's the person I'm not going to vote for. Like, seriously? Why are you even running then? All we need is one senator then.
Yeah.
One senator and the $200,000 contract.
It almost gives
just if that's what you want to do, now I'm frustrated with this whole AI talk.
Well,
so if that's what you want to do, if you want to rely on AI, then let's just have one senator then.
Yeah.
And then they'll use that $200,000. You're really saving taxpayer money now. I'm all for that.
Yeah.
Do that. One senator and go ahead and do the Talleyrand. Otherwise, what are we doing here?
So
really, we're going to use AI to tell us how we're going to govern and create policy? Like, it should only be a tool. I want somebody that knows how to write policy or puts a team together that understands, because what you cannot do, and again, I have to fall back on what was said, because they just, at the Asia Tech Broadcasting Expo, they just confirmed what I've always thought about AI. you cannot replace the human soul.
Mhm. Well, again, right? See, you can do all of that. Get this program to do all of that, but when it comes out, when it's done in 4 seconds, it looks perfect. But the human part, the
Right,
human aspect,
right.
it's like, how is this perfect written bill from
Right.
AI going to affect Tunsatsu and Tanana?
The quality of life.
Exactly.
It must answer the question.
And AI doesn't know them. As a matter of fact, AI doesn't know that it was Tunsatsu and Tanana that voted
That
you
is going
in.
to be a question
Yeah.
when we bring in these senators. How much do you rely on AI? That is going to be a question.
The next question is, how much did you pay?
Because I just think that this is now getting out of control.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we just started too.
Yeah. My AI is I boy. I girl.
How much do you rely on AI? Otherwise, we don't need you.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, look at it. So 198,000, right? On top of that, 55,000 for the senators, and then the staff that they have, right? You think you put all of that, right? And like you said, it should be a staff writer, it should be a policy writer, it should be your staff, all in all, taking part, saying, okay, because at the end of the day.
At the end of the day, if it takes all of that so that you can attend more matais, then I think we have it backwards.
Yeah.
We have it backwards.
Oh, some of them actually have a multi list. God, I'm letting out the secrets.
You are not.
Bad Ryan.
You are running for the wrong reasons. Let's implement AI so I can attend more matais and don't have to worry about the policy part of it all.
Yeah. But it kind of gives credence to Dr. Ron McNich's as his initiative that he's putting out, right? Don't quit your day job.
Yeah.
I mean, this is partly the reason.
Well,
why.
if we are going to implement the AI, then I totally see part-time just around the corner.
Yeah.
Part-time legislature for sure.
You can't justify a
for sure.
full-time
If you're
legislature.
saying that AI can do all of this in such a short amount of time, then you just
sealed your fate?
Sealed it for me. Like we can go to part-time easily.
I get it, and I gotta ask AI about that.
So let's just play this before we
Yes.
go to the break, right? This might get us past the break. I
Yeah.
definitely want you to hear BJ Cruz at least in his testimony without any cuts.
Yes.
So this does get us over. This is more than 5 minutes, but it's pretty close.
I'm here. Unfortunately, I did not prepare any written testimony, but I am in support of the intent of this bill. I'm not sure why the AG issued that opinion last October. He must have had somebody in his office who is an accountant or an auditor inform him that the Governmental Accounting Standards Board, GASB, had issued a new rule. It's Rule 101, which requires governmental agencies and businesses to now include as an item in their financial statement and in their audit, but in their financial statement, their compensated absences, which is what this is. And the departments are having problems with it. When I realized that this rule was going into effect this year, I asked the graduate school to conduct a training, and they were going to fly out here and do an in-depth training, but most of the departments said that they had it under control. I'm now finding that they're not. Thankfully, the graduate school instructor gave the accountants and the auditors from the various agencies his email address so that they can help They can send him their questions, and hopefully they can address this issue. But it can be a substantial liability, because for those who don't understand how the system works, if a person has been in government for like 30 years and has been accumulating hours from 20 years ago, when they started to get more than 6 hours, 4 hours a pay period, and they were accumulating those. When they retire, they're being paid for those hours at their most recent pay. So if they were $14 before, when they first started, they're now cashing out at $60 or $70 an hour for all those hours. So that's substantial. But unfortunately, the departments are having problems trying to figure out how to record that, and that may be the reason why BBMR was unable to provide anything in the fiscal note. It also might be that the Department of Administration, at least in the discussion that I had yesterday when I was asking about it, figures that this liability is not a significant liability when you consider $1 billion budget, but it can still be a large number. And I was concerned about the number, but he doesn't seem to be concerned about the number because he doesn't think it's material, because it's not 10% of $1 billion, but it can be fairly substantial. And you already have quite a task in doing the budgets without trying to figure out how many are going to retire and to put into each budget for each of the departments the amounts to pay retirees, because if you did, that would be a whole other part of the budget that isn't there. When the departments pay that out, it can sometimes, in some of the small agencies, it can completely throw off their budget for the rest of the year and shortchange them. Bring them into a deficit immediately. But the proposal that is before us of allowing for the next 15 or 16 months for the departments to work out something to give these employees an opportunity to start whittling down the number of hours that they're carrying could address that. And I noticed that in the bill there's even a provision that says it can be extended, but I think it's good that there is a target date of September of next year, and if they can work a lot of those hours out, and if there's still some people that are going to be stuck with a lot of annual leave hours that aren't going to be compensated upon retirement, you might have to consider another extension at that point. But this is an excellent way, and hopefully the departments will be able to figure out a way to allow for those employees to take their leave, to take some leave, because that could be substantial, maybe not material in accounting terms, but it's still significant in the for some of the small departments. But my overall testimony is that I support the intent.
All right, so you just heard him. He supports the intent. However, a deadline should be in place, which there is, September 30, 2027. It could extend, but he feels like it just makes sense, again, to, make sure that there is a deadline. The challenge is, like he says, this will give the managers time, the agencies time, to allow these employees to take substantial leave. That's going to be the challenge, though, because pick an agency, most especially in law enforcement, they will say they are already short-staffed. There's a system in place that allows them to work so many hours that keeps, when it comes to police officers, that keeps enough police officers on the street. But now when you are saying, well, raise your hand if you have excess of 350 hours, I'm almost willing to say that anybody that has been in the police department for 10 years and more is going to raise their hand, including the high-ranking police officers. So that is going to be, most especially the high-ranking officers, that is going to be an extreme challenge for so many agencies. But it has to be done. I would say that that's the right thing to do. I mean, you can say it's poor management, and BJ Cruz will share that on the other side of this, that it has been poor management. Management knows that this law exists and kind of look a blind eye. And if they didn't, then that's just poor management from everybody, not letting everybody be aware that this has been the law. And so there have been gaps. And so the right thing to do is to create a sunset date. What has happened, but we can't let it continue to happen. We'll take the break. KGUM FM in Dededo, Guam.
KGUM FM, Dededo, the talk of Guam. This is Wave 105.1 FM, a Glimpses Media radio station.
My name is Emma. I am 13 years old. 6 years ago, I was injured in a car accident that left me paralyzed from the waist down. Once I completed rehab, my mom applied for a canine companion service dog. Last January, I finally got to meet my service dog, Marcia. We quickly developed a very strong bond. Together, we go to my horseback riding lessons, school band practice, swim meets, and archery classes. Together, we pick vegetables, and we like to cut flowers. I love Marcia. She makes me feel like together we can do anything. I can't imagine life without her. She's a part of the family. We are just one of the thousands of teams Canine Companions has paired together over the past 50 years. With your help, we can continue for another 50. Visit canine.org to see the many ways you can change lives.
I can tell that we are gonna be friends.
Do you hear that? And that? And that? Those are the sounds of a healthy and vibrant community. And to this United Way volunteer, nothing sounds better. They're the sounds of children being given greater chances to succeed in school. The sounds of neighbors receiving the support needed to overcome challenges, both big and small. They're the sounds of families gaining access to quality health care and nutritious food for their tables. And they're the sounds of members of our community who've benefited from United Way's financial education programs. See, wherever there's a need in our communities, there's a United Way. People working together to respond and growing the good for everyone. United is the way. So join us by getting involved or giving back. Learn more at unitedway.org.
Talking about guns with others might not always feel comfortable, but it could save a life. Here's a way to start a conversation. Your family is going over to your neighbor's home for dinner for the first time. How would you ask if there are any unlocked guns in the home?
Hey,
Hey, we're so excited for tonight. Before we come over, may I ask a few questions?
Yeah, of course.
Do you have any pets?
Yes, we have a dog.
Great. Do you have a pool outside?
Nope, just a big old backyard.
Nice. Another question. Are there any unlocked guns in the home?
Our guns are stored securely, locked in a safe that the kids can't access.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Now, let's just talk about what we can bring for dessert.
Learn how to have the conversation at agreetoagree.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the Ad Council.
My name is Erica. My son, Kaysen, is a patient at Shriners Children. My oldest called me and said Kaysen got burnt. The trauma doctor came in and said he needs to go to Shriners.
His injury was a big injury, and I think a testament to the care that we provide. He's fully functional. He's riding his dirt bike, doing all of the things that you would want him to do.
We're just so thankful that Kaysen is still here. Go online right now to loveshriners.org.
.408 in the afternoon, and right about now it's time to check in once again on the roads of Guam as he helps you move forward, along with AutoSpot, Mr. Pauly Suba.
All right, welcome back. I don't see too many issues. A lot looks the same from what I saw in the 3 o'clock hour. Not too many delays, just minor congestion near the major intersections, but one light change will definitely get you through that, especially on Route 1. There are some minor delays down in Tumon and heading up there. Shouldn't be too difficult. If not one light change, then 2 light changes. Things are definitely going to ramp up as we get closer to the 5 o'clock hour, and most especially when we get into the 5 o'clock rush hour. But for right now, things are looking nice and easy on Route 1, Route 8, Route 16, 10, 4 as well. And there's definitely not any trouble at all down south on Route 2 from Hoggett and whipping around towards Molesu. I don't see any issues unless there's a carabao on the side of the road. That could slow you down. Other than that, we're looking good, right? Once again, helping you move forward on this Monday. That's Guam AutoSpot. Schedule that test drive today. Call them up, 478-AUTO. View their inventory on their website at guamautospot.com.
We are all for first-time guests and longtime friends. All for First Light and Starlight. For road trips and trail runs. All for mountaintops and monuments. River bends and battlefields. We're all for showing up and giving back. To protect, to preserve, to pass it on. All parks depend on us, and we're all for parks. Join us at nationalparks.org/allforparks.
Hi, human. I'm a micro monster, swimming around in your plastic water bottle. But I can't wait to swim in your bloodstream soon.
Microplastics are micro monsters.
Drink me. Wait, what are you doing?
But you can fight back by using glass or metal reusable water bottles.
No!
Don't let microplastic micro monsters invade your body. Find more ways to fight back at stopmicromonsters.org.
The road to Adelup continues. This time, we sit down with Republican candidates. Vice Speaker Tony Atta and E.J. Calvo. Catch the full conversation that took place on May 5th on the Wave 105's YouTube channel. Stay informed and hear their vision for Guam's future. Wave 105 is a glimpse of Guam radio station.
Welcome back to the right side right here on Wave 105. Lunes is Monday, the first day of June as well.
Wow.
So time is just flying by, right?
I think there's probably 60 days left.
Yeah.
For the primary election.
Ooh, yeah.
That's like 2 months away.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
What is it? The last day is July 31st, and then primary election on August 1st.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, things are ramping up for sure, right? Let's do this. I do want to thank our sponsors, and that's GTA. We start with you. Subway, you got to refresh to be fresh. And Chili's Grill and Bar. At Chili's, more life, great food, and memories happen here. As well as Triple J. They bring you the bright side. Right now at Triple J Ford, get a free $500 gas card when you drive home with a new Ford truck. Visit triplejguam.com. Get pre-approved instantly. And so this is what we're going to do now. Senator Chris Duenas asks if agencies are now on notice. And Senator Chris Duenas asks BJ Cruz, who is the auditor, right, public auditor, whether the AG's opinion means agencies are now officially on notice that employees cannot go over 320 hours going forward. Cruz said that appeared to be the meaning of the AG's opinion. And so Duenas said the legislature is now trying to deal with the backlog that existed before the opinion was issued. So Speaker Frank Bloss, he criticizes the delay. He says the administration contacted him in March about the problem, even though the AG opinion came out back in October of 2025. And so I wanted just to play that statement again from Speaker Frank Bloss.
Actually, we have a caller that may want to take a part in this discussion.
Okay. Yeah. Off a day, Way 105, you're on the air.
Off a day, senor.
Attorney Pete.
Hey, I wanted to call in and wish a very happy birthday to my son, Mesngun Geftau. He is 7 years old today.
How do I pronounce his name? Not Mesgun? Mesnun?
Mesngun.
Mesngun. Is that how you're supposed to pronounce Mesgun?
Mesngun, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
His little cousins earlier, or when he was first born, they say, "Where's Mexican?"
That's strength, right?
Well, it comes from the word mi plus sungun. Mi means very.
Okay.
And sungun means to endure.
Okay.
So perseverance.
Persevere. Got it.
Yeah. So, anyways, listening to what's going on, I wanted to make 2 points.
Sure.
One is, every agency supposed to follow the rules. I worked for agencies that when we do pass the 320, you can do up to 100 hours, can transfer it to sick leave, and if you have anything over that, you just lose it. So I've lost leave, and this problem wouldn't be a problem if the agencies just did what they were supposed to do.
That's what Speaker was saying.
Well, here's the question, though, Attorney Pete. What if the person actually wants to use it but can't use it because they're short of manpower?
That's not their fault. That's the management has to find a way to accommodate them to use their leave.
But they still lose it if they don't use it. That's the problem there.
But there's nothing. It's not that hard to make people. The problem is they said they allowed it to accumulate, and so people thought, oh, it's not urgent, I'll just accumulate it. That's the wrong approach. You have to enforce that. So it's an enforcement problem.
Well, I think it should be. They still have. I mean, if there should be a certain amount of time that if they can't use it, they still don't lose it. So let's say it's 320. Well, if they go over that, then they lose anything after 320, and they could still, they still have the 320.
So we might as well just increase the time then. If that's how if we're saying 320 is not the ceiling, then what is the ceiling, and just call it that.
Yeah.
I think I know the legislature needs to agree.
Senator Chris Barnett is looking at 650.
Looking at increasing, yes. And so what is because the challenge again, if this bill is saying September 30, 2027, that's in 15 months. Is that enough time for all of these people to accrue or to use if some are at 1,000, and also keep enough officers, enough people in the agency to run the agency? Because that's a whole that's over a year.
Leave, like for me, I had a bunch of leave that I was going to lose, so I went ahead and donated it to people that needed it.
That's what they talked about too in this hearing. They talked about handing it, especially those that are on medical leave and that have run out. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Right, and then the last thing, there's a lot of speculation on why the AG came out with this opinion, and it's because he lost a case against a very long-time employee, and so this is actually a vindictive move by Doug Moylan. He came out with this opinion, because this is something that's been practiced forever and a day, and nobody made us think about it. But only when Doug Moylan lost, one of the, 7 cases now that he's lost at the CSC. He's never won a case at the CSC. Only when it involved this situation that he went on a vindictive rampage and said, well, we're going to burn the house down now. And so this is the reason why we're even talking about this, is just because he lost a case.
Well, now I'm curious how, you understand the law. If you're the AG, how do we move forward if it hasn't been solved by the time you're AG?
Well, there are multiple creative ways to make this right. And there's not one solution for every situation, but there's different ways, it could be a combination of different solutions, to fit everybody's situation. But that being said, the bottom line is you need to make sure that the agencies follow the rules. And this is not one of those things where, it's not a rule like, if you break it, you go to jail. It's just some rule that was in place that said, hey, you shouldn't go over this amount. Sometimes life happens and it goes over that amount. Sure. But, to accumulate over 2,000 hours, that's just already too much.
Yeah. Understood. Yeah. I mean, that's that has been the sentiment watching the public hearing. I was actually surprised.
I didn't watch the public hearings. I know the history of this thing, and I myself have lost leave. I myself have donated leave. So it's not like this is not. Yeah, it's a benefit, right? But at the end of the day, it's not like someone's going to lose their house over it.
Let me ask you this question.
I mean, you have to put a time on this because you're hurting everybody. You're hurting your coworkers.
But it's a result of mismanagement, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Okay, so
the
here's
rule too with compensatory time off is if you use that system, the person has to use the compensatory time off within 2 weeks.
Here's my question.
Accruing it.
This is a legal question here. Can a legal class action lawsuit from the employees of GovGuam take this to court and say, hey, you guys are not giving us time to use it because we can't, because there's just short of manpower, but we're losing one of the benefits?
At the end of the day, Ryan, they didn't follow the law, and it's not the employee's fault, but the rule says that they got to lose the leave.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Can the class action lawsuit come from the employees?
Well, they're going to try to sue something that they're not entitled to.
They'll probably
because
sue
those things,
the director.
The leave should have been erased.
But they could sue the director, though.
No. It's not. That's not going to go anywhere. Again, it's like, it's one of those. I hate to say it, but at the end of the day, the rule says that those leaves were supposed to be taken off the books, and if it goes to court, I have a very strong feeling that the employees are not going to prevail.
Yeah, and then the marshal at court is actually working overtime.
Well, I mean,
the irony, right? Yeah, like I said, at the end of the day, it's a benefit. It accrued. They allowed it to accrue over the legal limit. If they try to push the issue, at the end of the day, it's gonna, you're gonna, and the ruling will end up being, well, it's something that never should have been accrued, so it actually doesn't exist.
Well, I mean, even
But
if we
that's
look
free
at it,
labor when you think about it.
But
No,
we
it's
also
just they didn't take the leave that they could have taken.
But we also have to look at it on the other
They
side.
worked and they got paid for the hours they worked. It's not like they worked and they didn't get paid for work. See, that's a difference.
Okay.
I mean, I understand what Ryan's saying, and I do acknowledge the fact that if you've earned something, then you should be compensated for it. But if you are collecting 2,000 hours, or I would even say 1,000 hours of leave, and when the rule says 320, then that can be looked at as abuse. And so we're taking advantage of taxpayer money. And so as a taxpayer, I don't want my money to go towards paying for thousands of hours of leave that was accrued when it wasn't supposed to be.
Right.
I mean, when you think about it, right, when we have, like, let's say this Super Bowl thing, or, when GovGuam calls a GovGuam holiday, I believe it was Senator Klitzky that said, man, we're losing about $2 million on this.
Right.
On these
for
hours.
every holiday, it's cost the government probably more now, but it's somewhere in the area of that.
Mm-hmm. And so going back to Pauly and the 2,000 hours, I mean, how much money are we losing here?
In the millions.
In the millions, exactly.
Yeah. But remember, there's a lot of people that did lose their leave, right? And because their agencies followed the rules.
I'm just thinking something along the lines of Lola Cola somewhere.
Yeah.
Someone's going to get smart enough.
If those people lost their leave, then these people who accumulated should also lose their leave.
Yeah. True.
I'm just calling a spade, right? It's not something that, was legal to begin with. So the concept is, void ab initio, right? It was not allowable from the start.
Right.
I hear you.
Because other employees, got to look at it in perspective, other employees have lost hundreds of leave hours.
I think that's where the lawsuit is going to come.
Because the agency did the right thing, and they took the leave off the books.
Yeah, so two things should happen. Either increase the cap, right, to 650, and also have a sunset time. So that way now that all of this
Going
is
forward.
out in the open,
Yeah.
if it is September 30, 2027, which I think is not ample time, push it further, and then that's it. What's done is done. Everybody understands now. It's play ball again. Blow the whistle. Let the time on the clock continue now, and no one can go backwards.
I agree.
Right.
Yeah.
But, it's not like they're taking money out of people's pockets. This is a benefit that accrues, and when you don't use it, you lose it.
Right.
And the agencies that followed the rules, their employees lost thousands of hours.
Right. Yeah, no,
And
I get
so,
it. I mean, even here we have our own SOP,
So
and
it's
there
not
is
it's
a
not
use
a
it or lose it.
tragedy. It's not the world is not going to crumble if these people lose their leave. I'm just sorry to say, but other employees have lost their leave.
All right. And this is
because
somebody running.
their agency followed the rules.
And so I'm glad that you're saying this on the record, and you're being unapologetic as somebody that is running for a elected office, because the easier statement could be like, over my dead body, or is anybody going to lose leave?
I'm going to fight and grandstand.
Yeah, no, let's look at the whole thing. Let's look at the whole situation. Right. There are hundreds of other employees whose agencies followed the rules, and they lost leave. Yeah, so this is just an accounting fiasco.
Right, got it. Yep. And so Jason's on the other line. I'll let you go. Have a good one.
All right.
All right. Happy birthday to your son.
Happy birthday to Mesgun.
There
Happy
you
birthday.
go. All right.
Adios. Jason's on the line. Hafa Jason. Thanks for holding on.
Hey, Pauly.
Hey, Jason, you're on the air, my friend.
Hey, man, I was just listening, and man, this is really interesting because, like listening to you and Attorney Pete and BJ Cruz talking and Senator Lujan. Where do teachers stand in this? Because we can't take leave when we feel like it during the year, only during the summer. That's really paid.
Okay.
Because and then.
So can you? Thanks for calling in, so we can better understand real world situation from a government employee that has a real a real challenge.
Okay, yeah, I mean, because when teachers work, because of the fact we have to be, or teachers and counselors, we're teacher status as well. So yes, we work 9 months, but of course we're 12-month paid employees.
Right.
Under the government of Guam. So, naturally, we have that option to either get paid 9 months or throughout the year.
Mm-hmm.
Most of us are smart. We do it, stretch it out through the whole year. But because of the fact that teacher status, of course, we can't just take leave when we want to during the year because we're there for the kids.
Yeah.
It's mandatory. We do have 3 days of personal leave, I guess you could call it. And then at the end of the year, we actually sign a form whether or not we want to have that transfer to sick leave or cash it out.
Okay.
There's a lot of us that just transfer it over, and like what Attorney Pete was saying, it's you accumulate that over the years.
Sure.
Some of us have way over 2,000.
Wow. So,
yeah, because like I said, I mean, just like the situation with GPD and TFD, we can't take off during the year, only during the summer, but that's where he paid.
Right. So the 3 days have accumulated, so that's what? 8, 16, 24 hours over time is it accrued to about 2,000 because you're not able to take those 3 days every year?
And then, like what I was listening to what BJ was saying because he was saying that at every pay period there's leave accrued.
Right.
Okay, let's just put this in perspective and, just doing mental math.
Sure.
I'm rarely ever absent because, I don't want to be absent.
Right.
So I've been in the government for over 22 years. Do the math on that.
Yeah.
You accrued like 8 hours, right? After a certain time frame. So like if it's if you started for 5 years, you get like every pay period like 4 hours. And then I think after 10 years, you get 8 hours, correct?
Probably even more than that, because I mean, if it's per pay period, I've only missed days because of of deaths in the family or really sick. But I can tell you offhand, I have not taken leave more than 15 days out of my whole career.
This is something that that should be on the record in that public hearing because nobody showed up. Except for BJ Cruz.
And because, and like what you were talking about, it's confusing hearing how all of this works. I'm guessing that's how people are like, how does this, because I'm listening to it and now I'm understanding it like, oh boy, this is something interesting now because.
Well, if this bill passes, basically you have until September 30, 2027 to use up all that excess leave outside of the allotted amount, which the cap is 320, right? So you'll have to use up all of that or else you'll lose it.
And
if this bill passes.
How is that going to work for teachers who cannot be out of the classroom?
Yeah, I mean, basically their managers are going to say, their supervisors are going to start calling in the substitute teachers for an entire year. Because you'll basically be out all of next year.
And that's crazy because you're looking at...
I think you're going to lose it because, to be honest with you, September 30, 2027 is still not enough time for you to accrue all of that leave that you've accrued in the amount of time that you've been a counselor and never missing a day. You are In fact, the example that everybody is talking about when Senator Chris Barnett and Senator Vince Bora is saying these employees are the ones that have not been able to take leave for so many years. And so that's why I appreciate you calling in, because even for myself, it looks like abuse. Right? I mean,
An example, I have not missed a day. I've completed this school year with no absences.
I think how this can be handled, because this is a special case scenario here. I mean, you're a teacher. There's only a certain amount of time that you can and it's usually summer, right? But that you can take your days off. But still, I mean, I think separate from this bill, somebody down there,
No, it
legislature,
can't even be summer because he's done with his contract.
Correct.
So it has to happen within the school year.
Okay.
Well, what is he doing in the school year? He's teaching. He's counselor.
Okay, so
we can't.
Yeah, and there's a shortage of counselors.
Man, Jason, it sucks to be you, bro. It sucks to be you. I mean, but this bill, it has to. Someone down at the legislature needs to tailor make this whole situation that caters to teachers such as yourself, because I don't see it happening any other way.
Yeah.
And BJ's right about the payment because of the fact. Here's a scenario. I already went down to retirement. I planned out my retirement because it's almost time.
Mm-hmm.
And to my understanding, with the plan that I'm under,
right,
I have to exhaust half of that, which I will use, and then they pay out the other half.
Yeah.
And he's right. They're going to pay me at my current salary.
Yes.
Wow.
So, that, oh boy. I mean,
you know who should have also been at that public hearing was the Guam Retirement Office, because they would tell us.
Oh yeah.
They would tell us what the how much we owe retirees based on all the leave that they're going to cash out when they retire.
I got nothing but respect and admiration for Attorney Pete, but for some odd reason, he disagrees that this will not amount to anything in court. But I'm telling you, anybody can sue anybody for anything.
Yeah,
and this is what's going to happen.
Put this in perspective. Remember now, the new master's degree, everybody's getting a master's degree.
Yes.
So you're looking at adjustments in pay increases over an excess of close to $70,000 per person.
Wow.
Just again, do the math. A lot of teachers are not just sticking with bachelors anymore. There's a lot of doctorals going on, and that's going to accumulate over 100,000.
I don't think you're going to be at school next year.
Jason? And we're oblivious to all this, and because we're too busy in school.
If you want to, if this bill passes, here you are the example of somebody not being in school all next school year because you're going to cash out your leave.
Mm-hmm.
See, and that's the crazy point that I'm trying to understand. We're very vital in our job description because putting kids in the cafeteria is not an option. Because that's we're doing a injustice to the kids and to the families. Mm-hmm. Because but what are we going to do if we're forced that hand? We have our families to think about too.
This is why Senator Chris Barnett was fighting so hard during that public hearing, because he said, I respect what you're saying, Public Auditor BJ Cruz. However, there are these employees that just have not been able to. And so now I can visualize who exactly those people are, and they are people like yourself. And so that's why I really appreciate you calling in. I'm not sure if you're able to send a written testimony, right? But if you have anybody, I mean, I know that there's technology that's available to you, right, Jason?
Right,
that you can send something. And so office.senatorborja@guamlegislature.gov, office.senatorborja@guamlegislature.gov, because your story, you being the example, you are just one of the many government employees that, especially within the school system, that I already see are right there with you. And so can you imagine a school year next year where all of these teachers and counselors don't show up for work because they're using their 1,000-hour leave that they've accrued?
And they have to use it before September?
Of 30, 27.
Yes, and there's only so many substitutes that get hired because, like what Dr. Wampet was saying, it's not attractive, and they need to work on that. And then the school aides, they're even short on that too. So that's another hornet's nest that they're going to mess with. You're going to have trying to find substitutes. School aides that are not even enough. It's impossible.
Jason, I got a question. So the substitutes, do they have to be accredited? I mean,
certified?
Certified?
No.
As long as you're a high school graduate, you can be a substitute teacher.
So how does that affect the whole? You have to be.
That's only for teachers, and then there's such thing as emergency hire. And so the
Correct.
emergency hire, they'll get them on. They're not certified yet, and the goal is that they're working towards their certification, and then they have to put out They have to open that job, right, for everybody to apply.
But
Right.
But
So
let's say
if there's-
let's say
if there's
Jason is
shortage-
off for a whole year, and it's a substitute that is teaching my child for a whole year that is not certified.
Yeah.
There's the lawsuit.
That's the loophole.
That's
That's the loophole because the substitute teacher does not need to be certified.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Correct.
But it's
And
part of
because
the.
when that happens, sometimes there's deployment or the position's not filled, and they have to have a body in there with the kids rather than putting them in the cafeteria.
Right.
So subs have to fill that in. If you do have a retired emergency or hire, those who retired and are working, they work under it's called emergency certification.
Right.
It's or temporary.
Right.
It's not a full. It's just for the year.
Right.
But because of the fact that they do have a degree, they're eligible for that type of certification.
And that's all because there's a shortage in teachers available, so they're creating this program to allow these retirees to come back. However, they're sitting on vacant spots.
How is the GFT? What is their take on all of this? The Guam Federation.
I don't know. I don't think they chimed in yet, but that is interesting. I would like to speak to a representative from GFT.
Yep, it would be nice because this is a dilemma that you're going to face. And like I said, I wouldn't want to be doing that because of the fact that when you don't have control of so many kids, something can happen.
Yeah.
Or and then you don't want to be doing that. That's what I'm saying. I've never missed a day this year because of the fact I love my job and I love what I do for the kids and what's needed in the school. Yeah. We can't do that. So something's got to give.
I feel you, Jason. Thanks for calling in.
All right, man.
Okay.
All right.
Take care. Thanks for engaging with us. Again, to send a written testimony on Bill 288, you can email office.senatorborja@guamlegislature.gov. You can send a written testimony. I believe you still have a number of days, right? Is it 10 business days after a public hearing?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you do have time
to submit
send a
testimony.
written testimony. Bill 288, office.senatorborja@guamlegislature.gov, and make sure that you are submitting a written testimony on Bill 288.
Point of clarification, we got another caller that wants to make some clarification.
Okay, go for it. Hoffaday Wave 105, you're on the air.
Hi.
Hello there.
Yeah, this is Troy. I was just wondering, because I was looking at a bill and it said annual leave. I don't think it affects sick leave.
Okay.
Okay.
And I think Jason was talking about that his personal leave gets transferred to sick leave. So I don't think you have to use all your leave because I myself have, thousands of hours of leave for sick leave.
Uh-huh.
But I think that gets converted over towards retirement years.
Okay.
But, I'm not the expert, but that's how I see it. I'm a 9-month employee also.
So it's employees to use excess annual leave through September 30, 2027. And
Yeah.
so,
So
does
9 month employees don't usually they don't get annual leave.
Okay.
They get the 3 days personal if they're in the public school system,
Yes.
and some people get 2 days personal.
Okay.
So, but we don't get annual leave.
Okay. So then that's not going to when we're talking about 1,000 hours, that's not excess annual leave then.
That's sick leave.
That's sick leave. Okay.
All right.
All right. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Let me just double check in the bill, but yeah, I appreciate that. Let's see here. So let's take this break because we haven't taken a break yet, and I definitely do want to play the part where Senator Chris Barnett gets into the conversation. But for the most part, because now we are up against the clock, Speaker Frank Bloss Jr. did say that the administration contacted him in March about the problem, even though the AG opinion came out back in October of 2025. And so he said his first question was why the administration waited so long. And he said the legislature is still waiting for the administration to provide the data needed to understand the full cost and operational impact. He said lawmakers cannot create a complete solution without knowing how many employees are affected, how much leave is involved, and how agencies would continue operating if many employees take leave. And so that, again, was also a number of questions that were being asked. Senator Shanga Matautau was asking, but DOA was not in attendance. The retirement office was not in attendance either.
GFT
and
should
so
have been there, too.
there are questions that they wanted to ask the retirement office as well.
That was a brass tacks question right there with Speaker. Yeah, get to the brass tacks. How many people are affected? How much leave is accrued? And what is the total price? Like you said, it's in the millions, right? So
Can be
in the millions.
Yeah,
so.
especially if you're talking about employees that are at $100,000. Their annual salary is at $100,000, and so if you're talking about more than 1,000 hours of leave, that's already like we're talking about in the millions.
Yeah. Oof, man. We'll take the break.
All
Actually,
right.
let's do this right now so that we don't have to get into it when we come back. Let's do traffic, and then we'll go into commercial break and then come back. But here we go at 4:44. It's about that time. Once again, we check in the roads of Guam. He's going to help you move forward along with Guam Auto Spot, Mr. Pauly Suba.
All right. Looking at my handy-dandy glimpses of Guam traffic app here. Again, I still don't see too many issues. I know we're getting closer to the 5 o'clock hour. But, I mean, we're right there. The first day of June, we're just getting deeper and deeper into summer. And so more and more people are taking advantage of the summer and just taking it nice and easy on the roadways, that's exactly how I like it. I prefer it like this. And so the longer we have these days where it's nice and easy, just makes everybody even more happy.
Plus, it's hot out
there. Yeah, for sure. So I don't see too many issues at all. Route 1 looks pretty good. Route 8 even better. 16 is nice and easy. Of course, when you're coming down Harmon Loop, you've got so many of those entry points getting onto 16. So just be aware of those people that are not really paying attention of everybody coming down the hill towards Harmon Loop. So other than that, I think we're good to go and helping you move forward again on this Monday. That's Guam Auto Spot. Schedule that test drive today. Call them up, 478-AUTO. View their inventory on their website at guamautospot.com.
It's time to shed those socks and let your toes breathe. Welcome to a very liberating edition of the National Day Spotlight for June 1st.
While shedding your shoes feels like a casual summer luxury, parts of Europe have turned walking without shoes into a wellness science. Across Germany and Austria, towns feature dedicated parks known as barefoot paths. These are carefully engineered walking paths made of contrasting natural textures, including damp mud, smooth river stones, dry pine cones, and rough bark. Stripping off your shoes for National Go Barefoot Day to walk these paths naturally massages the soles of your feet, triggering dozens of neurological pathways that modern footwear completely numbs. By forcing your body to adapt to the changing terrain, you naturally strengthen your foot arches, improve your posture, and experience a sensory connection to the earth that a rubber shoe sole simply cannot provide.
I don't care. I still think that the dry pine cones and the rough bark would be painful. However, not as painful as stepping on a Lego.
That is true.
Or a micro machine.
And I noticed that they took off the broken glass and fire, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's a good thing. We are also celebrating National Say Something Nice Day and National Pen Pal Day. I'm Alice Anderson.
And I'm Marlo Anderson with National Day Calendar, reminding you to celebrate every day.
If you're looking for world-class website hosting at a fair price, Pair Networks is your best choice. Founded in the early days of the web and still going strong today, Pair Networks now hosts over 150,000 websites for its demanding customers worldwide. Setting the standards for excellence, Pair Networks has a technical and support staff that's second to none. A highly stable company with top-of-the-line technology, Pair Networks offers total reliability and flexibility for your website, and even a money-back guarantee. Whether you're a professional web designer or a beginner just getting your site online, Pair Networks has a web hosting plan that's right for you. Make the move today. Log on and learn more at pair.com. That's PAIR.com. Pair Networks. World-class web hosting at a fair price. Visit us at pair.com. Pair Networks.
The spring housing market in the U.S. proves to be remarkably resilient. I'm Mark Hamrick with the Bankrate.com Personal Finance Minute. The National Association of Realtors says pending home sales jumped 1.4% in April, pushing contract signings up more than 3% higher than this time last year. But real estate right now is a story of hyper-local demand. While the benchmark 30-year fixed-rate mortgage sits at about 6.5%, hotspots like Boston and Miami are seeing near double-digit gains in buyer activity. With historically low foreclosures and tight inventory, home price growth is outpacing wage growth in some hot markets. But that is not the case on a national basis. Wage growth is winning, but not so much that affordability hurdles are going away. For prospective buyers, the takeaway is clear. Don't wait for a massive price drop that may or may not happen. Cautious optimism, solid preparation, and a locked-in financial strategy are your best tools to act quickly when the right home is found. For more, check out Bankrate.com. I'm Mark Hamrick.
We are all for first-time guests and longtime friends. All for First Light and Starlight. For road trips and trail runs. All for mountaintops and monuments. River bends and battlefields. We're all for showing up and giving back. To protect, to preserve, to pass it on. All parks depend on us, and we're all for parks. Join us at nationalparks.org/allforparks.
The road to Adelup is off and running. This time, we sit down with Republican candidate Speaker Frank Blass and Dr. Mary Okada. Catch the full conversation that took place on May 7th on the Wave 105's YouTube channel. Stay informed and hear their vision for Guam's future. Wave 105 is a glimpse of Guam radio station.
4:51 in the afternoon. Welcome back to the show. This is the BrightSide right here on Wave 105. Standing by the host, Mr. Pauly Suba.
Welcome back. So let's do this. Senator Chris Barnett, right? This is a big part of what happened during this public hearing last Thursday. So he says the discussion needs to include the perspective of government employees. And so many employees are now being told they must take annual leave or risk losing it at the end of the fiscal year. And so Barnett says many employees earn that leave fairly, and the government had allowed them to accumulate more than 320 hours for the years that they have worked. He said some employees save their leave in case of family emergencies or to use before retirement. He says he believes employees should have more flexibility to decide when to use the leave they earned. He said Bill 288 may only delay the problem for another year. He said he prefers raising the leave cap, which is what his own bill would do. And so we'll just play that. And then I know BJ Cruz has a response, but we won't be able to get to that response until the other side of the 5 o'clock hour. So here again is Senator Chris Barnett speaking on the bill, on Bill 288.
One perspective that hasn't really entered the conversation is the perspective of the hardworking government and Guam employees. So what's happening now across the line agencies is the directors and the managers are calling in all of the employees and telling them that they have no choice but to take their annual leave because they're going to lose it at the turnover of the fiscal year. And I'm not sure either, Auditor Cruz, what prompted the Attorney General's issuance of this opinion, but I did hear something about he had an employee who was trying to process out, and maybe they were looking at the amount of leave that was accrued, and that may have been the trigger. I'm not really sure. But, I mean, there's plenty of finger pointing to go around. Adelup absolutely should not have sat on this opinion as long as they did. But, again, just going back to the perspective of the hardworking government employees who serve our island, serve our people, accrue this annual leave, no matter what's in black and white, the standard practice has been to allow them to accrue amounts, obviously, in excess of 320 hours. And now they're being told that they have to exhaust this leave. I know there's a couple different solutions before the legislature to include a bill that I introduced. But it's my understanding that as recent as yesterday, there was a shouting match between an employee who felt that he rightfully earned this leave and he should be the one to determine when he's going to use it. And some government and Guam employees don't use their annual leave because they're saving it in the event a family member gets sick, or perhaps when they retire, they want to, take a couple months ahead of that retirement and exhaust that annual leave. And so for me, I think when you have hardworking employees who have rightfully accrued this leave, they should be the ones to determine when it should be used. And what this bill kind of represents for me is we're just kicking the can down the road for another year. You said it yourself. We're probably going to need an extension after that. That's why I think the most immediate solution would be to raise the cap, which is what my bill does. And just with all due respect to the chair who offered different justifications for not hearing my bill, which was actually introduced before this one. And I think he's talking about the fiscal impact. But we had brought this up across the hall, and I thank you for the leeway, Mr. Chair. But the annual leave payout, I think, is like a letter J in the statute, and the annual leave accrual is maybe an A, B, or C. So my bill doesn't touch the annual leave payout when an employee separates from their government in Guam. Now that also says 320, so I'm not sure what the practice has been, but again, this idea that there's some type of significant fiscal impact with Bill 287, I think is unfounded. So as a longtime Democrat, I'm sure you can kind of, and I hope your Democrat days aren't too far behind you, but I'm sure you can appreciate that perspective of our hardworking government employees who are caught in this crossfire with the Attorney General's opinion and, of course, the administration. So I'm kind of on that side. Like I think that the real solution is to raise the cap to allow the employees the flexibility to use the leave when they want to use it, and maybe we incorporate a deadline for that. A couple, maybe 3 years down the road. So that's just a perspective I haven't heard from any of my colleagues, but in going around and talking to government employees, they are angry, they're frustrated, and they're offended that we're trying to force legislatively and also force, again, from Adelup, these employees to exhaust their leave, even if they have no intention of using it, So I'm not sure if you had any comments on that, but again, I just wanted to put that perspective on the record, as I'm constantly going around talking to government employees who, again, they're very angry about this.
All right, so yeah, we'll get to BJ Cruz's response, but later down, we may or may not have time to share this, but I do want to share what Senator Joe San Augustine said, and like I said, if we do have time in the 5 o'clock hour, I'll play it so you can hear Senator Joe San Augustine mention this idea. Sorry. Sorry.
I think you need leaf.
Right? Yeah. I'm not going to be able to get to it because I'm still... There's like a frog in my throat. So we're just going to go to the break.
Yeah.
KGUM FM in Dededo, Guam.
KGUM FM, Dededo. Powered by Glimpses Media.
Chinese car makers have their eye on growing the Canadian market. This is Jeff Gilbert with the Car Chronicles. Canada's only importing 50,000 Chinese vehicles at first, but Automotive News Toronto Bureau Chief David Kennedy says BYD, Geely, Chery, and perhaps other Chinese companies view this as a foot in the door.
I think at this point, the expectation among the Chinese automakers is that, Canada will be open in the future, and this is kind of a first step toward getting there.
Canadian car buyers are mixed, with some concerned and others willing to take a look.
But the reality is that the prospect of a cheap EV, if you could get an electric car in the 30,000s, people are interested. Dealers are also interested.
Kennedy expects the first Chinese brand cars to go on sale in Canada late this year or early next year. With the Car Chronicles, I'm Jeff Gilbert, CBS News.
Have you heard? Subway just launched the all-new Subway Wraps. Your favorite footlong, now wrapped in a tender wheat tortilla that's perfect for any flavor craving. Go low carb, hit your protein goals, or just eat better. Subway Wraps make fueling your day easier than ever with bold flavors and curated ingredients. Sink your teeth into the cheesy garlic steak wrap, juicy steak, cheddar cheese sauce, crispy veggies, and roasted garlic aioli. All wrapped up. Subway Wraps. Light, delicious, and satisfying without weighing you down. Subway. Eat fresh, feel good.
When a warrior faces adversity, he fights through it. He finds a way. Freedom isn't free. Rolling strong. Belief. Believe you can, and you will.
Wheelchairs for Warriors provides mobility solutions to veterans and first responders injured in the line of duty. Join the mission and visit wheelchairsforwarriors.org.
The road to Adelup is here, and this time we spoke with Democrat candidates, Senator Toriz Terlahi and Senator Sabina Perez. Here is your opportunity to hear how they plan to govern Guam. Watch the conversation on Wave 105's YouTube channel, dated May 28th. This is a Glimpses of Guam radio station.
Straight up 5 o'clock, we are KGUM FM Dededo, Guam. This is the BrightSide right here on Wave 105, and now it's time to check the roads once again. On your daily commute, as he helps you move forward along with AutoSpot, it's Mr. Pauly Suba. Buenas.
All right, I think I was able to swallow that frog.
Okay.
Might come up a little bit later on, though. We'll see. Major congestion, Route 10A heading down to Route 1. Seeing those delays there. Once you do get onto 1, it's not that bad, even in the Upper Tumon area. Things do pick up again as you get closer to Route 16 by the Micronesia Mall. So, yeah, we are starting to see more people on the road. It's obvious everybody that is still on the island and didn't leave for the summer is getting off at this time and definitely using Route 1. So expect things to really pick up as we get deeper into the 5 o'clock hour. Other than that, Route 8 looks pretty decent. I don't see too many issues even as we get closer to the Tri-intersection. Once again, helping you move forward on this Monday afternoon, that's Guam AutoSpot. Call them up, 478-AUTO. View their inventory on their website at guamautospot.com.
Wave 105, keeping Guam informed, inspired, and in the conversation. Glimpses Media.
We do want to thank our sponsors, GTA, We Start With You, Subway, you got to refresh to be fresh, Triple J, bringing you the bright side. Right now at Triple J Ford, get a free $500 gas card when you drive home with a new Ford truck. Nice. Visit triplejguam.com and get pre-approved instantly. Yeah, I did not stutter. $500 gas card. Ooh, yes, when you drive home with a new Ford truck. We also want to thank Chili's Grill and Bar. Chili's, more life, great food and memories happen here. Bring your graduate over there for free food over at Chili's when you for your graduate, right? 671-922-1051. This is what we're doing moving forward here. This is the first time we're doing this. Good news for a change. And so we'll do this around 5 o'clock, in the 5 o'clock hour every day. And it's all thanks to Provisions Wine and Cheese. They serve fresh salads, delicious sandwiches, and authentic Roman-style pizza. Provisions is open Monday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Call Provisions at 671-633-9463. Again, that's 633-9463. And place your order today or visit their website, provisionsguam.com.
Did they dine in?
Yeah, you can. I mean, there is like these tables that, standing tables. Yeah. And so you can, get yourself some wine, sandwiches. It's right there in front of Bank of Guam. Well, it's off the side of Bank of Guam.
Okay. Which Bank of Guam?
Hagåtña.
Oh, the headquarters.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's right off of there.
Okay. Yeah. I'm always looking for a good pizza.
Yes. Yeah, no, they're a nice spot there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very classy, too, for sure. And the team over there takes really good care of you.
Man, I'm going to go check them out. Maybe even tomorrow. If I have time, I'll go check them out.
You should. So, some good news for a change. We're celebrating Oscar the Grouch's birthday.
I don't think he likes that.
He doesn't. He doesn't like it. But that's why Oscar the Grouch is like my favorite Sesame Street character.
He's real.
There's just something about his grouchiness that you love.
Yeah, no,
you just love it about him.
He's real,
right? Yeah. What was it? Born in 1969, right? Because what is he? Well, he's a grouch.
Yeah, like I can imagine when you go, hey, Oscar, how you doing? It's like, nice day out.
Yeah.
What are you, the weatherman?
So I wasn't born in 1969. I've always remembered Oscar the Grouch as being green, but he was orange at one time.
Really?
Yeah, and then he went on vacation and he fell in a swamp. And then since
that would
then,
do it to you.
He never wanted to take a shower. He loves trash so much, right? He lives in a trash can.
Somebody needs to have him come over here to Guam and get rid of the trash here.
There's just something. He keeps it real. Oscar the Grouch. I mean, he keeps it real, right?
He would stay down in Luzon.
There's just something adorable about it. He just reminds me of your grouchiest uncle that's at the party, but everybody just thinks that he's saying jokes all day. Yeah. Like the punchlines just keep coming, but really he really is a grouch.
The uncle,
he really is pretty serious.
With the bottle of beer in his hand and he's singing in the Urbana,
right?
And he has that big baritone voice, right? And then you call him Uncle Bar, for baritone.
There you go. Yes. So he does not want you to celebrate his birthday either. He said the best thing about birthdays are that they don't come around. I mean, they only come around once a year, and they're over after the day.
Stop being a grouch.
Yeah, that's why we love him so much. We love him so much just because, like, we're laughing at how grouchy he is, and he just gets more irritated. You know, that nobody's taking him seriously, but he's like, no, I hate everything. I am a grouch, and he lives in a trash can.
Have you ever seen those restaurants? I forgot what but the waitresses and the waiters are always rude.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And that is the
And
concept.
that's part of it. That's why we love it so much. So we look forward to somebody walking into the restaurant. There was one in Washington, D.C. If you walked into the restaurant with a tie, they cut it right there. And then they took the tie and they put it, it was part of the decoration.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that won't fly here because, people here in Guam like, huh? Oh,
You're going to touch my tie?
You're going to touch my tie? Kom fan to doon niya.
This was $40 at Ross. Actually, they're cheaper than $40, right?
Yeah.
At Ross, you can get ties like for $8.
Yeah, you could. Silk ties.
Yes.
Yeah. Silk ties.
So we're celebrating Oscar the Grouch. Yes. June 1st is his official birthday. He made his debut in 1969.
Wow.
Again, he turned green after a vacation in a muddy swamp.
Man.
And so even the grouchiest guy has a soft spot. He has a pet worm named Slimy. And he genuinely cares about his little buddy, Slimy. And so
he's like pretty much the big brother of Slimy, and everybody touches Slimy, right?
You know what's funny too is you mentioned cranky restaurant workers or servers. Creator Jim Henson based Oscar on a cranky restaurant worker. Proof that attitude can be iconic.
It's awesome.
Yes. Some Sesame Street lore. His trash can is huge inside. And so he has like an entire pool in that trash can. I don't know if you've ever seen him, right? You've seen him. Like he's basically in a trash can when he shows up, right? And so it just looks, it's a regular sized trash can, but when they like go inside, there's a swimming pool, there's a bowling alley.
It could be a bomb shelter.
Yeah, so like exactly. And so when we're thinking about Oscar the Grouch and living in a trash can, like no wonder why he loves living in a trash can.
There's all
kinds of things in there. Like I want to go live in that trash can too.
All right, so for Oscar, here you go. I'm gonna get
Here we
something
go.
for him.
Okay.
Okay, hold on for a second. Hopefully this is nice.
Okay.
Here we go. Okay. Okay. Countdown.
Okay.
And here we go.
Sounds like I'm at the cathedral. Happy birthday. Oh, he doesn't want you to sing happy birthday to him.
Too bad.
This is going out to also to Attorney Pete's son.
Yes.
Yes, happy birthday. My brother Jared as well.
Yes. Yeah. Also, a happy belated birthday to my dad. Heavenly birthday, Dad.
Viva.
He was born May 30th. So, yeah.
Am I saying it correctly? Messian?
Yes.
Messian. Happy birthday, little Messian.
Yeah. All right.
Yes.
So to
and
all
Oscar the Grouch.
Yeah, so to everyone that's celebrating their birthday today, that's listening right now to this broadcast, happy birthday to you.
So the whole part about Sesame Street, right, and the reason why they introduce Oscar the Grouch is just to show that like there are different personalities. It was okay to not feel happy all the time or not feel have the bright side, be optimistic. You can also, there are different personalities, there are different people in our society, and you love them just as much. You love that uncle that won't put down the beer just as much, just as long as he stays in the back.
Yeah.
Like he's the one that's like ruining sometimes when they're doing a toast.
Yeah.
And he keeps shouting in the back.
Hey! Don't forget me.
It's like you're not part of the entourage, Uncle.
But
you're not part of the entourage. This is the reason why they didn't pick you to be on the This is the reason why you're not part of the program.
Or when the Tetsas are singing and with the aunties and the grandmas and everything, with so many different octaves and everybody's all off, Uncle Bear would just, put everybody there with his baritone, and he's the bass guy he's the bass guy in Boys to Men.
But sometimes after years, we forgot what the best man said at the speech, but we still remember Uncle Bar. We still remember him. So he still ends up being part of our core memories, right? So we all have an Oscar the Grouch, and we love them so very much.
Yeah.
They're still very endearing.
I'm almost afraid to ask, right? Because President Trump, the moment he came in, right, he was like, "Oh, we're gonna cut PBS." I'm thinking that's probably the only time Oscar the Grouch was happy.
Yeah.
We're gonna cut.
Well, the court system said no, you will not, and so
short-lived. His happiness was short-lived. He went back to being grouchy.
The damage was already done, though, right? So many layoffs already happened. There you go.
Boy.
Oscar the Grouch, big part of good news for a change, right? And we still love celebrating even the grouchiest of grouches, right? And so Oscar is the epitome of a grouch, and we still love him. So once again, Provisions Wine and Cheese, check them out. Open Monday through Saturday, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Call them up. 671-633-9463. Place your order today or visit their website at provisionsguam.com. All right, let's go. Let's get that response from BJ Cruz. Yeah,
I got it pot up already.
Okay, so if you're just joining us because you were very productive at work and you weren't able to listen to our conversation, we're talking about Bill 288, right? And
if you were accruing leave, yeah.
Right. So Senator Chris Barnett is, he's standing up for GovGuam employees, and he's saying, listen, they're now being told they must take annual leave or risk losing it at the end of the fiscal year. Many employees earn that leave fairly, and the government had allowed them to accumulate more than 320 hours for years. He said some employees save their leave in case of family emergencies or to use before retirement. He said Bill 288 may only delay the problem for another year, and he said he prefers raising the leave cap, which is what his own bill would do. He said many employees he has spoken to are angry, frustrated, and offended that they may now be forced to use leave they have saved. And so BJ Cruz, responds, and he says agencies and supervisors should have followed the rules. And so Cruz responded that both employees and supervisors should have known these rules, and that the agency should have been making sure employees used enough leave to stay below the 320-hour cap. And so we'll play that now.
Have known what the law has said, and what the law and what the procedures are for the regulations. They should have been having the employees expend some of their annual leave to keep it below the 320 hours, because that was the law, that's the rule. And you really can't have employees, whether or not you're Democrat or not, dictate when they do things. You don't allow them to dictate when they start work. When they get off, they do. But when they start, and so they have to understand that there are some rules, and they all have to live with it, both the employee and the supervisors. And the supervisors should have been keeping track to make sure that they didn't have this problem. Like we're fortunate at the OPA that our accountability, our administrative services officer reminds us, you're nearing your limit, and you shouldn't be carrying. You won't be able to carry over. But that should have been done in all the departments. But that's why I came over. Well, I was told to come over on this one.
Kindly advised.
Well, no, I mean, I'm leaving. I'm going to be going on leave. But I was glad that I was able to be here for this one. And then when I got my notice for the SDS, I'm back in time for the SDS. So there has to be some order in it. And I there are some departments where I know employees, before they retire, take the last 2 months on annual leave. But they're on extended leave. There are some that do that. Yeah. Unfortunately, sometimes we can't dictate when we're going to be tired. Illness may set in, the real true unfortunate passing of the employee. That balance is due and owing the day that they are no longer there, whether it's by retirement or whether they expire. But it's the departments have to keep track of those.
No, I respect your perspective, but I think one thing that you're leaving out of it is that some of these employees want to use the leave when they want to. You use the words dictate to the director when they want to use the leave. Other employees have wanted to take leave, but weren't allowed to because of a lot of the critical shortages we have in different areas across the government, whether it's law enforcement or the fire department. So there's also that part of it, is you have employees who have accrued in excess of 320 hours who maybe have wanted to take the leave but haven't been able to. And so again, for me, it's just about respecting the leave that these employees have worked very hard for, and period. And that's it. And I just have to go raise the cap and let the agencies and the employees work it out.
And I do respect that, but I really keep trying to remind everybody, when you have an SOP, when you have a rule, when you have a law,
sure,
have an ability to be able to read it and follow it.
Yeah, no, I agree. But the problem is, they've been allowed to accrue this. And although the directors, the governor, lieutenant governor, the AG might have known what the law says in black and white, the employees were allowed to accrue this leave in excess of 320 hours. And now they're the ones that are going to bear the impact of us rectifying this policy. Not the directors, not the senators, not the lieutenant governor, the governor, not the mayors. And so I just wanted to get that perspective on the record.
And that's why I keep saying it's unfortunate. We can't hold people responsible for their decisions when they do that. It has, But I've said enough.
There you go. And isn't it ironic that he's saying, "Well, I came now because I'm going on leave."
Yeah, I'm gonna take
and so
leave.
he's even being responsible enough to make sure he takes his leave, so he doesn't go over 320 hours. So I did look at the bill while we were in break, and yes, it does not recognize sick leave.
Okay.
This is for annual leave.
Yeah.
However, it's a good transition because Senator Joseph Augustine suggests converting excess annual leave to sick leave.
Okay.
So he's even suggesting that they amend the bill to do that. He suggests amending the bill to allow employees to transfer more of their excess annual leave into sick leave. He said sick leave can affect retirement calculations, so this could help some employees. And that's why, again, it's important to have the retirement office be there. They were not. And so he even asked the question to BJ Cruz, what are his thoughts? And he goes, well, that's a question to the retirement office.
We have Pete again.
Okay.
I guess he wants to give another take on this.
Sure. And then real quick, somebody commenting on our YouTube says a suggestion regarding the annual leave situation. Maybe a senator or two have thought about this, maybe grandfathering those GovGuam employees that were hired before the date of the AG's opinion. So
good question.
M. Flores says, throws that out there
Suggestion.
on our YouTube. So, Attorney Pete, you're back on. Off a day.
Off a day. You know, after listening to what Chris Barnett and Joe San Augustine has recommended, I respectfully disagree with both of them.
Okay.
Because that's rewarding bad behavior. Because, like I said, other employees have already lost. Look at all the hundreds of hours I've lost. I could have sent that to sick leave. So is it fair because my agency followed the rules and your agency didn't follow the rules, and so now you get to transfer hundreds of hours of your leave to sick leave when I didn't?
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Possible
Right?
lawsuit.
And then the reason why I disagree with Senator Barnett is, you know, there's a reason why we cap it at 320, because when people retire, they get that paid out as a lump sum. You don't want to bankrupt the government, right? Just follow the rules, and take it off the books when it has to be taken off the books, right? And the reason why too that it's capped at 320 is, like I said, first of all, so that you don't bankrupt the government when you retire, but because that's still a lot of leave, you know, that you can take. 320, that's like a month's worth of leave, or even actually more than a month, almost 2 months worth of leave, right? So that's you know, if you allow someone to get 600 and what was it, 650?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the new
something
cap. That's
something like that. That's like what, 4 months of leave?
I think the reason why is because we're in this these can of worms. The can of worms are out, or you can't, you know, the genie is out of the bottle and you can't put the genie back in, per se. And so this is already pretty chaotic.
We don't do it by rewarding bad behavior.
Right. I think we've been rewarding this behavior, whether we call it bad or not, for so long until, like you had shared, when A.G. Moylan just because he lost the case, is now putting it out there to get back at somebody that he lost against. And so, I mean,
yeah, so now he wants to burn the house down. But be that as it may, you know, this was like Senator, or like former Senator, former Speaker, former Chief Justice B.J. Cruz said, the agency should have just been following the rules.
Right. Yeah,
we wouldn't have gotten in this situation if the agencies had been following the rules, and that's why I say to the fixes that they're trying to, recommend, that's rewarding bad behavior.
Well, it's pushing the goalposts, pretty much.
No,
correct, and also, like I said, what about those folks whose agencies followed the rules? You know, there's probably 500 hours that I lost that I could have transferred to sick leave, because if, you know, are we going to go back and say, hey, who lost hours? Now we can take those hours and transfer it to your sick leave. But then again, that also affects your retirement, and then that costs the government money. So, like, to your point, Pauly, you know, you don't want to waste taxpayers' money because people did the wrong thing.
Absolutely. I mean, so again, back to what we were saying earlier is because of this whole debacle, they do need to come up with a date, stick with the date. If there's a temporary cap, because too many people have gotten away with it one way or another for too long. And so you call quick time out.
Yeah, but the reason why it's at 320 is because that's a management, you know, tool to when it comes to manning and HR, You know, you cannot have someone with 650 hours of leave and say, oh, I want to take 650 hours of leave. That's like, what, 3 months, 4 months of leave? That's people should not be accruing that much.
I agree. And so now we just have to, I think, because there's so many people involved with all of these government employees, I don't think that the right thing to do is say, no more, that's it, lose it, and stamp everybody out. They have to do it in a very diplomatic way, especially the senators do. Otherwise, you're going to create even more chaos if you just cut it out because of what the AG has already opined on.
One way of doing it is probably instead of giving them a set, because I don't even know what the numbers are. I mean, this basic government service, how long you stay in, the most you get, right, every pay period. So maybe instead of 4 hours, make it 1 hour they accrue. I mean, that could be.
I mean, Senator Chris Duenas is correct too, especially when he's on finances. We need to get to the bottom of what is the real amount. You know, who stands to lose and how much, and then they have to make a judgment call.
You got to make a decision based on data and information. You cannot just make a decision based on guessing.
Right.
But to Ryan's point, what it is when you first get into the government, you accrue 4 hours per pay period. Yeah. Then after a certain amount of time, you accrue 6 hours. And then after a certain amount of time, you accrue 8 hours per pay period. And 8 hours is the max. And so that's after, I think, 10 or 12 years or something like that. But is that even realistic, right? We had to change the retirement because it was unsustainable. So is accruing 6 or 8 hours a pay period, that's the question. It's a fair question to be asked, right? Is that sustainable? Is that something that, a practice that we need to stop or change?
Yeah. Well, I think nobody's saying, well, maybe Chris Barnett is saying because he wants to raise the cap to 650, but again, it's 320. Allow everybody. But if you
ask HR managers, they're going to say that's a difficult pill to swallow to allow people to accrue that much amount of leave.
Yeah, but they have already, and so what this bill aims to do is to give them time to use up the leave that's over 320 up to September 30 of 2027. The argument is all of these agencies, I just don't think, can allow all of these people to take leave so that way they don't lose it by September 30, 2027. If you, like Jesse, when he was, not Jesse.
Joe Sinagsi?
No, not Joe. Our caller, who is a counselor. Right, Jason. I mean, can you imagine all the counselors not showing up for an entire school year? That can be a reality, especially because they only have until 15 months from now.
By the way, I heard your name is Malak. Diba?
Malak, yes.
Malak. So, Malakitenda si Pauly. Or, no, not Malak, but Matlak. Matlak means bright.
Bright, yes.
But anyways, this situation, right? It's like diarrhea. No matter how much perfume you spray, no matter how much deodorant or perfume you spray, it's still going to stink.
Right. No. Well, you can't blame the senators for trying to figure this out through the bill
but
form.
they don't have enough perfume at the legislature to fix this problem.
All right. I got Vince on the line. Thanks, Attorney Pete.
Vince, give us a call back.
Okay.
He kind of...
I'm sure. I'm sure he's like, this is going to be a while.
Yeah.
But call us back, 5:30 in the afternoon. Well, this is a perfect time then to take the break.
Sure.
And Vince, feel free to call us. We got about 50 minutes left in the show anyways. Sorry, no, not even 20 minutes left in the show.
And let your
almost gave us overtime.
Welcome to a very liberating edition of the National Day Spotlight for June 1st.
While shedding your shoes feels like a casual summer luxury, parts of Europe have turned walking without shoes into a wellness science. Across Germany and Austria, towns feature dedicated parks known as barefoot paths. These are carefully engineered walking paths made of contrasting natural textures, including damp mud, smooth river stones, dry pine cones, and rough bark. Stripping off your shoes for National Go Barefoot Day to walk these paths naturally massages the soles of your feet, triggering dozens of neurological pathways that modern footwear completely numbs. By forcing your body to adapt to the changing terrain, you naturally strengthen your foot arches, improve your posture, and experience a sensory connection to the earth that a rubber shoe sole simply cannot provide.
I don't care. I still think that the dry pine cones and the rough bark would be painful. However, not as painful as stepping on a Lego.
That is true.
Or a micro machine.
And I noticed that they took off the broken glass and fire, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's a good thing. We are also celebrating National Say Something Nice Day and National Pen Pal Day. I'm Alice Anderson.
And I'm Marlo Anderson with National Day Calendar, reminding you to celebrate every day.
If you're looking for world-class website hosting at a fair price, Pair Networks is your best choice. Founded in the early days of the web and still going strong today, Pair Networks now hosts over 150,000 websites for its demanding customers worldwide. Setting the standards for excellence, Pair Networks has a technical and support staff that's second to none. A highly stable company with top-of-the-line technology, Pair Networks offers total reliability and flexibility for your website, and even a money-back guarantee. Whether you're a professional web designer or a beginner just getting your site online, Pair Networks has a web hosting plan that's right for you. Make the move today. Log on and learn more at pair.com. That's PAIR.com. Pair Networks. World-class web hosting at a fair price. Visit us at pair.com. Pair Networks.
A widely used AI is telling people to go to sleep, and users can't figure out why. I'm Jeff Colvin of Fortune magazine with the Fortune Business Update. It's Anthropic's AI Claude, and a quick scan of Reddit reveals that hundreds of people are having the same issue in various ways. It might tell one user to just get some rest. For others, its messages are more personalized and empathetic. Often, Claude will repeat the message multiple times. Some people think it's an intentional feature to promote users' well-being. Others think Anthropic is trying to save computing power by discouraging prolonged use. An Anthropic staffer posted online that the behavior is a character tic, and the company's hoping to fix it. For now, no one knows why Claude is telling us to sleep, but it's worth remembering that even AIs with human names aren't humans. I'm Jeff Colvin.
Even AIs with human names aren't human. Didn't we say something like that?
Yeah. You can't replace the human soul.
Exactly.
You cannot copy a human soul.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, you know what? We do traffic, and it's probably being brought to you by AutoSpot as they help you move forward with this gentleman right here, Mr. Pauly Suba.
Oh, yeah.
And he ain't AI. He's letting you know in real time what's going on.
Things are picking up. Heavy congestion throughout the upper Tumon area, trying to get out of Tumon as well, either by the Tarza Water Park or towards John F. Kennedy High School, right? Mild delays on Route 1 as you get closer to the village of Donkey. Coming down Route 10A, that's Airport Road. Expect delays there, especially if you're trying to make that left turn onto Route 1. Looking at Route 16, it's not too bad until you get closer to the Micronesia Mall. You're going to be joining all of that congestion on Route 1, trying to continue to move northbound on Marine Corps Drive. Once again, helping you move forward on this Monday. That's Guam AutoSpot. Schedule that test drive today. Call them up, 478-AUTO. View their inventory on their website at guamautospot.com.
Introducing the all-new Subway Wraps. Now you can make any footlong a wrap. Light, delicious, and satisfying without weighing you down. Subway Wraps make fueling your day easier than ever with bold flavors and fresh ingredients. Try the cheesy garlic steak wrap today. Subway. Eat fresh, feel good.
The road to Adelup is set. This time, we sit down with Democrat candidates Senator Joe San Augustine and former Senator Dwayne St. Nicholas. Catch the full conversation that took place on May 8th on the Wave 105 YouTube channel. Stay informed and hear their vision for Guam's future. Wave 105 is a Glimpses of Guam radio station.
I've heard people say that too much of anything is not good for you, baby. but I don't know about that. As many times as we've loved, we've shared love and made love, it doesn't seem to me. It doesn't seem to me like it's enough. It's just not enough. Oh, baby.
All right, welcome back. Be Bat Lunas, 671-922-1051 or 1052. If you're able to turn the camera on.
Yeah.
The Guam Fire Department, right? So we didn't touch on this yet. They're looking to adjust some of their operation fees, right? So ambulance rides currently costing less than $200 could cost about $1,000 in some cases.
Wow.
Yeah, and so according to GFD, ambulance and fire prevention fees have not been updated since 2007, while the cost of fuel, medicine, vehicle repairs, equipment, and supplies have increased dramatically. And so, I'm curious about, how the administrations, right, the potential administrations, we have, a potential of 5 different administrations come January 1st, depending on who wins the election.
Yeah.
How they plan on addressing this, right? Because, we could go status quo and say no to increasing fees, right? We need to keep it at this level. I don't think that solves the problem, though, that we're constantly facing when we have a lack of fire trucks and ambulances that are out there.
Yeah.
And so this is a way to address that, because the fire department can be more self-sustaining and not necessarily look to, again, it's all taxes. It's just packaged differently.
Yeah.
And so if we're not providing enough taxes from the general fund to GFD to provide the services that they're able to provide, then we're just going to raise fees for those that utilize it. And so some say that is right-sizing the government, because why should I as a taxpayer continue to pay for a service that I don't use? And so if I need the services of the ambulance, then I'm a user of this service, and I shall pay the cost of or have the insurance. However, it does seem excessive, and that's the sad part when it comes to, because we've heard this many times, fees haven't been raised since this time. So now we're just going to go straight from 0 to 100?
Yeah, no.
That hurts the pockets of every single person that is going to use these services.
It goes back to what BJ said. Management has an obligation to keep, as a director, I'm not blaming any particular fire chief or chief of police when it comes to these things, right? Especially, because fire right now is the one that's looking at raising the fees. But this is something that, because when you look at it, right, you have the governor's office, getting grants for these vehicles, right? So that, and I think, I'm not too sure, maybe somebody can correct me, but there is, I don't know if we get a full grant for like new police cars, even new fire trucks.
I thought we're using the Section 30 funds for that.
That too. And so based on equipment wise, I don't know if we have to do matching funds or whatever, but if that's the case, then we already know that there are a lot of police vehicles out there that came through the federal government via grants. So to raise the fees, you really have to if the fire chief was to come up to me and I'm the Senate senator, what, aside from the gas, aside from all of this, what are you guys, what are these fees, are going to do in terms of making the service better?
Oh, they'll be more self-sufficient. They've already said it. They're on the record already saying what these fees will do. It'll allow them, to keep up with the maintenance costs of their ambulances and their trucks.
Well, there was one point in time where,
and they're not keeping up with them right now.
Exactly. I remember the time.
It's like short of we're running with just 4.
Yeah. Well, you see, and that's just it. I remember the time where they were actually renting out
Yes.
ambulances because they
and
didn't have
and
any.
thank goodness for the mutual aid agreement
Yeah.
that we have with the federal counterparts, that they go out and respond to emergencies too, especially when they're shorthanded with the amount of ambulances. So
okay.
I mean, clearly the fees need to increase. I don't know if it's fair to go that high in such a short amount of time. And so that is the argument. Again, same thing with the pay raises that when all these, so the administration, the current administration has blamed past administrations as to not giving the pay, the increases, right? In you know, you got to increase the pay, you know, in increments. Otherwise, we're going to get what we got a couple years back. And look, now it's all inflated.
Yeah.
And so it was just a matter of time for us to get there. And so this administration argues that they got us there. And all the other administrations in the past decades failed at doing that. And all we're doing is now right-sizing the government. That's their statement. They're only doing what should have been done. And I agree with that. However, this is why we need to stop that nonsense, because we just need to, no administration should be deciding when to give 20% increases just like that. It needs to be codified. So do the increments in these what is it, the operation costs. So they need to codify that, so that way we're not being hit so hard in such a short amount of time. It's almost like when the frog is in the water and you're just bringing up the heat slowly. The frog doesn't realize he's being cooked, right? And so you gotta be able to provide to this community something that we can digest, something that, you know, we can actually swallow
I can't swallow the fact that already the power situation is going to increase by $60. I can't swallow this increase with you know, the fees that the fire department is asking for. I mean, I can't, but I can imagine other people.
Yeah. So
right?
when the fire department says that they haven't been increased since 2007, that's a failure. That's another government failure. And I'm not just putting it on GFD. I'm not. I mean, that's just
all around
oversight
Yeah.
from everybody, that we didn't allow for these things to increase. So that
gradually,
way, yes.
Gradually.
Right? And so here we are now just having to take it, because obviously this is what we want. We do want ample fire trucks and ample ambulances, because what happens when there is an emergency? However, the narrative has been, we're good. There's never been a time where the administration has said we're not good with the amount. There was always been a strategy in place. There has always been a way to provide ambulances and fire trucks to this community. Even when there are doctors crying and screaming, there are not. Even when they're saying that, the administration has been saying, tone it down. That's not the reality. We have ample time to respond to any emergency. They've never said that they don't. But here we are now, where GFD is saying, we haven't raised these fees since 2007, and we need to raise them because we need to keep ambulances and fire trucks and all the things that this society and this community needs to be healthy. So we have somebody on the line?
Yes, we have caller in line 1.
Holiday Way 105, you're on the air.
Hi.
Hello there.
I just want to make a comment. You know, we have all of these price increases because we didn't do what we needed to do at the time when they should have been raised.
Yes.
It's the same thing. It's all politics. Nobody wants to raise any prices to any cost in order to cover, you know, maintenance and things like that. You know, and we have to do it one large time because, you know, if we don't, the ambulances won't be fixed. You know, we won't have medicine. We won't have services. It's just a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah. It's
And
true.
it's because senators didn't want to make the decision back then. It's the same thing when they used to set the rates for GPA. You know, they never figured in, GPA never had enough money to do maintenance, proper maintenance. As far as the increase in power, now that's not GPA's doing. That's a function of the market
The
with fuel
LEAC,
costs.
yes, the LEAC.
So we have nobody to blame but, guess who? The Iran conflict. That's it. That's uncontrollable. But we can't subsidize that either.
Yeah, no, fair point.
All right.
All right.
Thank you. I like your codified thing
Yeah,
suggestion.
I think
having everything, you have to make the
you
adjustments.
have to make the adjustments. Otherwise, we're going to do this again. I mean, people will
Yeah,
say
it's
over
gonna hit hard.
over my dead body, are we going to raise these fees? And that's just all political talk.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
All right.
Have
I
a
appreciate
great
you.
evening.
You too. Yeah, I mean, see, so that's why I'm saying we're caught with our pants down. Like I mean, there's going to be these town hall meetings. However, they'll say the same thing that our caller has just said. We can't afford not to because of we've been putting it off. And that's just like the sad reality. And so people will go to these town hall meetings and share their points. And I hope that they do get, that they do seriously take in consideration because, yeah, also the CCU, they could have even increased it more, but they're also acknowledging the hardship of this community. And so they're also taking that into consideration. And yeah, they do have to raise the fees, right? But thank goodness for the LEAC that it gets only raised every 6 months, because to me, that again is doing exactly that. It's codifying. It's making sure that
increase.
we are preparing ourselves for this increase, and we can swallow these increases. And if it decreases, then great too.
And with the senators, they do have oversight, right? And whoever has purview for these certain agencies that are going to ask for an increase, I'm suspecting that they already made that person, whoever has oversight of these agencies, these senators, like, hey, look, we're going to ask. Put this, so put this in the back burner.
Because if these fees, they do have to increase these fees. Imagine though, if you are the one that has to be in this emergency, and you call on the ambulance, and then you get $1,000 bill.
Yeah.
My goodness, that's the reality, right?
Whether you have insurance or not, you can't afford it.
Right.
Simple as that. Yeah.
So that's the part that is overwhelming. And that's the part where it's like, man, that's the sad reality that we're in. So yes, they need to be increased. But we do have to have the conversation. That's why I appreciate that they are announcing the town hall meetings. So that way everything is on record. And then the senators can come around and say, you know what? We do have to make sure that what we're doing is fair.
Yeah. The sad thing, Pauly, about this is that knowing that there's a potential increase for people that really would need an ambulance, they would avoid it at all costs. Like, no, I don't need $1,000 Uber to drive I'll have my son or daughter take me to the hospital. I'm not going to be stuck with a bill because I already know going to GMH, I'm going to be stuck with a bill.
And that's the sad reality, too, with so many people when they don't do checkups, when they're not going to the clinics. It's because they can't afford it, and you can't afford not to, though. And we see so many people in our community that are, not signing up for health insurance because they have other bills to pay.
Yeah.
And so,
or they don't qualify.
We're never going to win that way. We're never going to uplift each other in that way.
I mean, I'm with you on this one. Yes, the fees have to be increased, but they have to find another mechanism on how to do it, and how much, because you just can't go from 0 to 1,000 and just like that. It's unheard of. I mean, I'm already hurting about the power bill. I'm like, oh, you're going to increase it by $19.
And at the end of the day, though, if what Guam Fire Department is saying, right? That they're going to be self-sustaining, right? That they'll be able to handle their fleet. They'll be able to maintain them. Then that's great. That's fantastic. That is the end goal, right? I mean, that's in a nutshell success.
Do they have a motor pool?
I see they're very short on a motor. I think that they envision a motor pool. They don't have the inventory to actually have something to legitimately call them a motor pool. You actually have to have extra vehicles that can run, but what I'm hearing is maybe 1 or 2 are set aside, right? And the rest are in the shop getting maintained. And that's always going to be that's always going to be the struggle. And so here's GFD. I'm glad that they are coming up with a strategy to end that nonsense. Because that's always been the case. We've always had the issue of lack of ambulance, lack of fire trucks, lack of police vehicles.
You know who
we're always going to need police vehicles.
I remember going to Police Week, and they actually took us to the motor pool. And this guy, regardless what as far as units are concerned, it didn't matter. Broken bumper, he'll fix it. Engine, he'll fix it. Dewey Castro.
Yes, Dewey. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, dude, you're awesome, bro.
But look at that. I mean, Dewey has to retire.
Yeah.
Right? And so we hear that they have a mechanic, and then the mechanic quits because he's going to get paid more somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly. Or he's not going to be able to use his leaf.
That's true.
This thing with GovGuam is like, it's a circle of life, man. One way or the other, you're gonna get screwed.
Yeah. Well, let me see if I can find this, because I do want to make sure that people are aware of the town hall meeting, because we're also talking about fire inspections too.
Yeah.
Increases relatively small, while others are substantial. Building plan review fees could rise from $5 to as much as $1,030.
Wow.
Right. So those are the fees that we're talking about, right? Like, just it's not a surprise. However, we just haven't made those increases. And so that's over 20 years. We're getting on. Next year will be 20 years since we had an increase.
I just keep thinking about a date, right? Like, okay, you take out a girl, you buy her dinner, take her to movies, give her flowers and everything and all. And then when you make your move, it's like, hey, hold on, dude. All right? I don't do this on the first date.
You shouldn't expect it on the first date either. What the heck?
So it's like, GFT is like, hey, okay, here's $1,000. This is the increase fee. Like, hey, hold on. Hold your horses.
Honestly, you shouldn't even expect it after 10 years. After 20 years, you still got... what happened? What about all the flowers I gave you? No.
Well,
that's not how this works.
Well, for 10 years...
And you can't just give flowers on the first time and then never give flowers again and still expect it 20 years from now.
Well,
that's also called divorce.
Apparently, for the last 10 years without fees, right? Increase in fees, they were self-sustaining.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, I totally agree with you. They do have to have these increase in fees. I mean, it is an important service that GFD does.
I mean, what a success story if GFD no longer ever comes to the legislature saying that they need money for fire trucks and ambulances, because they're doing it themselves already with the fees that they are implementing.
And then every other agency follows suit.
That's a dream that we're never waking up from.
Well, yeah. What world do you live in? Come on, this is a good one. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, we already saw $70 million was written off from GMH, and then the oversight chair gave them $80 million, and it goes back to what Attorney Pete was saying. You're rewarding bad behavior here.
Yeah.
So, yeah. No, Dorothy, come home.
Okay, so hold on, it's opening up. I'm on the Guam Fire Department's on their website here. So if you go to gfd.guam.gov, you'll see their town hall flyers.
Okay.
So let me just open up one. June 19, they're going to be at the Hoggett Mayor's office.
Nice.
6 to 7:30 p.m. July 10th, they're going to be at the Dededo Mayor's office, 6 to 7:30. August 3rd, they're going to be at the Sinahanya Mayor's office. So we'll make sure that we don't forget these numbers. This is about 2.5 weeks out, and so it's easy to forget. But definitely want to let the community know that these informational town hall meetings exist, because here's what will happen too, is this could just be I'm not saying that this is what GFD does. I'm saying this is a process. So they have to have these meetings, right? And so it can't just be a check box and nobody showed up. And then they said, we did our town hall meetings, and therefore we're moving forward with our recommendations. Show up. Make it hard for them.
Yeah.
Make it hard for them. Show up, share your concerns. This is what it is to being active in your community. This is also part of the process. Voting is a big part of the process, but also being active at these town hall meetings, because these increments will affect your life or your family's life within the year.
And
it just will.
I believe Senator Shanga Matautou is the oversight for public safety, so we should bring him in this conversation. Like, hey, dude, what is your take on this?
And I'm not I'm not saying that they are due.
Yeah.
These increases are due, especially when they say 2007, especially when we have already had these conversations of a lack of ambulances. However, we also get them on the record to say there is not a crisis. There is not an issue.
Yeah.
That has been the case even when there are only 4 or 5 ambulances in rotation. They said they have a strategy. They have a process. They will get to emergencies. Now we're saying the reason why we have to increase is because of the lack of ambulances.
Because we can't get to emergencies?
That's very strange.
That's double talk.
And that's I'm sorry, but it's not being very honest.
Yeah.
Because we know that there have always been issues with the lack of any kind of government vehicle. And it will always be, because you run them 24/7.
True.
So again, we'll make sure that these town hall meeting dates will continue to be part of our conversation, so we can prepare the community for them. And so you should voice your concerns. You should share the issues and the challenges that you're facing, so that when they make these decisions, that they're making those decisions on your behalf because they've heard you. If you don't show up, then they're going to make these decisions. They're making them with or without you. 5:59 in the afternoon, time to get out of here. Happy birthday again to my brother Jared.
Yes.
Happy birthday to Attorney Pete Santos' son Messian. And so we appreciate you.
One more.
Oh, Oscar the Grouch, born in 1969.
Yeah.
So yes, Oscar the Grouch. We love and adore that. Even though he's grouchy all the time, he's like our what'd you say, our Uncle Bar?
Uncle Bar.
Yeah.
Short for baritone.
Yeah.
Uncle Baritone.
And so even them, they're very endearing.
Yeah.
We're gonna get out of here. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We'll do it all again tomorrow. Mayor Melissa Savares is on from 6 to 10. Cop Talk from 10 to 11. 11 to 12 is GCC. And then Ryan and I will be back. Actually, Charlie's going to cover for me for the first 2 hours.
Nice.
Just because I need some, just in case the graduation runs long and we take my son out to lunch.
Take your time.
I'll be back in at 4. And then hopefully this frog is gone. I really am trying to see that. Got all worked up and I ruined my voice again. It was getting better. And now all of this frustration is got me all scratchy again.
Don't worry about it.
We'll get out of here. Remember, be kind to each other, especially out on those roads. Adjust. KGUM-FM in Dededo, Guam.
A car